Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope you all are having a great evening so far, and hopefully everybody had a decent week. Hi, Galvanting Gals, welcome, and Mark Finley, and Ryan Donahue, and and Katie Smith. Hi to everybody. So, Derek is here. He just spilled on himself, literally right before we went live, so he went to go change his shirt. He was wearing a really cool shirt. It had, like, lightning bolts on it, and so I'm kind of sad that you guys don't all get to see that. But we'll see what he comes back with, I suppose. Hey, Darian, welcome. And Rachel, welcome to you, and Thomas Reiser, and Mohammed, Nick Peterson, Megan Morris. Oh, all the good peeps are on tonight. Oh, Derek just got back. Oh, Megan Morris is on, so you can wear your glasses for
What's up?
So Derek looks like a whole new person, right?
So short. Oh my goodness.
Hey, Lori Simpson, Scorpio Sue.
Do I look smarter?
So Derek is wearing both contacts and glasses right now.
That was hard to do, actually.
He wanted to show off his new Warby Parkers.
Warby Parker, man. These are a great deal. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, so they sent us the frames, and then 5 different frames, and he picked out one of them, and then he finally got them in the mail a couple weeks ago, and we have had some requests for him to wear them, so we thought it would be good. But what else is new with your head, Derek?
Still here.
No.
I have a haircut.
Yes, that's it.
Much shorter than it was. So Chicago opened up yesterday, technically. So I went and got a haircut the first day I could because it was getting annoyingly long. And I think it was more the fact that for so long I knew I couldn't get a haircut that just drove me to want to get it as soon as I possibly could. So that's what I did. And now I'm very, very happy.
So Derek's like a whole new man. I'm the same Eliz as a week ago, but did want to say to all of you guys, thank you so much for understanding when we weren't able to do our Sunday live stream last minute. We had quite a weekend here in Chicago. I won't get into too many details, but there was a lot of activity in our particular neighborhood.
Yeah.
So, in fact, around our house, literally right outside of our house. So we didn't get a ton of sleep either Saturday or Sunday, but we are fully recovered. But if you do hear, as it starts to get dark out, there is an increased police presence in our area. It has been all week. You kind of hear a lot more sirens and helicopter noises usually. Last night was slightly quieter than the previous nights, and so we're expecting that to be the same way tonight. But just wanted to warn you guys, there could be more background noise on these than usual, but we are good to go and we are safe. So
yes, we're good. It was, like Eliz said, it was pretty hectic right around us, and kind of
we actually live
there's a lot of
every single retail store in our neighborhood got broken into and looted. The restaurants were
largely unaffected.
Were spared.
Yeah.
But so there was a lot of cleanup to do on Monday morning and stuff. We walked around the neighborhood, shared some photos on social media a little bit. Derek, especially on his channel on Instagram, shared them. So it's been a week. We also, what else is new? We have a new roommate / roommate plus dog.
We got a roommate on, what was that, Saturday?
Yes. So my friend Megan, who you guys might recognize from my New York COVID-19 interviews video, she actually works at a company that announced that they are not having employees go back to the office until January 2021. At the earliest. So she was like, well, she's from Chicago too, and so she's like, well, it'd be awesome to come, hang out with you guys all summer. So we had the extra space, and we have Megan living here with us now. She might join live streams in the future, but not today.
Lori says, let's see the dog. We'll see if we can get PG on the live stream sometime tonight. But.
Yeah, we can probably run and get him at some point. But yes, we also have a dog in the house now too, named Papa Gino. He's an old man.
Stuff. He's an old man.
If you guys want to
adorable.
see picture, you posted a picture on your Instagram of it, but of him. But he's already made a lot of friends in the neighborhood. So
actually, it's funny.
Cool.
Megan walking him has met more of our neighbors than we have in the 4 days she's been here versus like our year that we've lived in this house.
Yeah.
So, man, who knew?
Yeah.
Get a dog, you meet people.
Yeah, we love dogs too. We just travel too much to have one right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was new. We also got our hot water heater installed, which feels like forever ago, but I know we were talking about that on our live stream last Thursday. So we got it installed on Friday, so we are good.
Yeah, we're taking showers again, guys. It's great.
I feel like we've lived an entire lifetime since last Thursday. But, okay, so let's say hi to some new folks on here, too, that we missed before. So, Ann Gerber, welcome.
Hello.
And so I think you're pretty new to the live stream, so really pleased to have you on here. We have a great group of travel enthusiasts, and tonight we're going to be talking about places to travel within the U.S. specifically, but I'm happy to have us all kind of bring up places outside of the U.S. too, about where you can experience Black, Hispanic, or Latino, Native American, and Asian culture. So we've got a pretty long list of ideas for all four of those that we'll get into soon. But I hope everybody's excited for that. And yeah, welcome, Ann. So Alan A., welcome. And so everyone probably knows by now, Alan A. is my dad. And I just want to say to my dad, happy early birthday. His birthday is tomorrow. So giving him a friendly shout out.
So we're going till midnight. No, we're not going till midnight, but...
He is not going to midnight. He usually drops off at 9.
We're going to 9.
Yeah. All right. And I don't know I think we said hi to Mark Finley already, but hello to all the Finleys.
Hello. Blaine, Rayleigh Creative Travel.
Yes,
hello.
hi Blaine. Also wanted to say that April Finley made a very attractive looking cake that they posted a photo of that I was really impressed by. What else? And okay, I think hi Kim Yonker. I don't know. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but Kim is from To Travel and Tour, so welcome to you.
Isn't it a Dutch name? Would it be Yonker?
I'm not going to presume one way or the other. I said it both ways, so hopefully one of them is right. But yes, it would be a Dutch name, I believe. Yeah. Cool. So I think we've said hi to everybody. So sorry if we missed you all, but we are so excited to talk to you guys tonight.
Yeah. And so when we were thinking about what today's topic could be, we thought it was important to kind of think about some of the different, cultural, some of the other cultures that make up the United States beyond just, white culture. So we thought that, exploring some of the different places where you can explore, Latino, African American, Native American, and Asian American culture and history and all that kind of stuff was an appropriate topic to have during all the national conversations that are taking place now. There's a lot of resources out there that people can go to and for talking about race and things like that, and we don't plan to delve into that too much. All we kind of want to talk about is maybe some of the places where you can go to across this great country to get a little bit more of that flavor, understand the culture, the heritage, the history, etc. That's kind of helped make America as awesome as it is today. So precisely.
Oh, and Bonnie, sorry I missed you. Welcome,
Bonnie.
Hello from Canada.
Cheers.
She says. And yes, to my dad, showers were a big bonus. As soon as we got the hot water heater.
Yeah,
installed.
I will say we did a bath. We drew a bath using boiled water, and it took so many trips of bringing giant pots of boiling water to fill the tub that I would never do that again.
It was awful.
I don't have to.
Well, if we ever have our hot water heater go out,
turn it on a tap, man. It's so much easier.
Anyway, but yes, we are in the clear on that one. Right before Megan got here too, which was a bonus. And then Lorison says she had to call LG for my front load washer leaking from the front. Oh, yikes! Yeah. Hopefully they fix that really quickly though. And those are the ones that you have to be super careful about, like making sure to clean out the door and stuff like that too.
Yeah, they have mold issues.
Yeah, we have
Nick Peterson, hello. Yeah, no, I have not watched more Parks. Well, no, we've watched more.
did.
We're like midway through season 2, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I think we watched it like on Friday though, so it feels like a while.
Feels like a long time ago. A whole different lifetime.
Yeah.
The world has changed a bit.
We're like, I don't remember what the last episode was, but we both have watched more. I'm
Halloween.
now caught up.
It was the Halloween episode.
Oh yeah, we definitely watched the Halloween episode, but I think we maybe had one after that.
I don't know.
And then Blaine says, enjoy Charleston. I assume you're talking South Carolina to Gallivanting Gals. Yes, so they are going on a road trip this weekend, which we tuned into their live stream on Monday and learned all about their plans for their road trip, and we are very jealous and can't wait to follow along. And we also watched a few of your other videos, Gallivanting Gals, this week, about like RVs and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And then they said to Scorpio Sue, this is a car road house rental trip, but stay tuned. We expect an RV buy announcement and road trip starting sometime in August.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Cool.
You guys are going to pull the trigger.
That's very cool. Katie Smith, welcome. How you doing?
Yes, I think I said hi to Katie Smith earlier, but if I didn't, hello to you.
Sorry,
Alright, so I think everybody's kind of saying...
Cool. Do you want to like go back and forth on our lists? Like you do one of your lists and I'll do one of mine or something like that?
We can. Why don't you start? Because you have, why don't you do both of yours first?
Do both of mine first.
Yes.
Okay.
Yours are a little bit longer than mine, I would say.
Oh no. Alright, so I kind of took two, so we basically divided the list a little bit to do a little bit of research today to make sure we had some interesting things for people to see and maybe go explore. So I created a list on, African American and Latino cultural sites and experiences. So
and this is
again,
of course with the caveat that like some of these places
may be closed currently because of COVID-19 and things like that, but to the extent that you're planning a road trip, planning a trip to any of these locations now or in the future, something to think about, maybe adding on to your trip. So I guess we'll start with the African American experiences and cultural destinations. And the first one's kind of a cheat, and that's the Civil Rights Trail, which is 100 different locations across 15 states. So a little bit of a cheat there because that's 100 things that you can go do and see. And it has places everywhere from Nashville, D.C., Atlanta, Memphis, Little Rock, Topeka, Kansas. It's kind of like all over mainly the South, primarily. And there's a lot of cool locations that you can go see and explore there. Bunch of museums. I'd say if you wanted to do that, though, they have a really cool on their website interactive map, and it kind of shows all the different locations across those 15 states, and you can kind of like go, deeper into each one and see what resonates with you and what would be an interesting stop on a trip for you.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was a really neat feature and makes it much easier to kind of like plan something.
And especially with the South, like more opened up right now a little bit for visitors, that might be a really cool one to do and just learn a lot more about and be able to dive into that history. Yep. I also wanted to say, let's definitely make this interactive. So, two things. One, if you've done any of these things or gone into any of these places, let us know in the chat. And there, or I think that if you're on YouTube, it might be over there too. But yeah, let us know, and if you have any great tips or just want to talk about your experience, we want to hear it because it's something that has been really exciting for both of us to research. And then also, I guess if you have any other places that we don't talk about, because there are going to be tons.
Again, this is like barely scratching the surface. Obviously, these culture, like these people, like these cultures, kind of permeate the American fabric and are all across this country. So there's things everywhere for people, even wherever you guys live. There's going to be something that you can go do, see, explore, and learn. So
a perfect example. I'll interject and I'll start this conversation for you guys. But where I grew up in the Chicago suburbs, in my hometown, there is a really small museum called Growy Mill. And the museum itself is kind of about the history of the mill. But the mill was a stop on the Underground Railroad, so you can actually go there, and one of the exhibits within the entire museum talks about the Underground Railroad. So that's something that maybe it's like just a little piece of a larger trip.
Yeah. Growy Mill did not make my list.
No, and it shouldn't. It's not a big destination. But if you're in the Chicago area, it's something to think about.
And there's nice hiking over there.
It's right by like a little trail.
Yeah, nature
area.
preserve type thing. So, all right. So heading over to D.C. specifically, if you find yourself in the Washington D.C. area and you are wanting to hit up some museums, the Smithsonian has one of their museum campuses, which is the Museum of African American History and Culture. And it is the only national museum dedicated to African American history and culture in the United States. So that would be a great place to kind of get a very well-rounded review of things in D.C. Obviously in D.C. there's also the Martin Luther King Jr. Monument and a bunch of things to do and see that relate to African American culture. But just picking out one thing, that was the stop that I thought of. Kind of number 3 on my list is going a little bit more onto the music scene.
Peter actually said that museum that you just talked about in D.C. is very powerful in his opinion.
Awesome.
And also, hello, Peter.
Hey,
Welcome.
Peter. And again, just as a thing, most of these things are actually places that we have not been to, or at least on my list, and these are things I want to go to.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I'm kind of highlighting them, is because these are places that are on my list of travel locations.
We have never traditionally been like museum focused at destinations, just by nature of like wanting to go out and shoot photos and stuff like that. But a lot of these are museums, so but that's how you learn.
Yeah,
which is gonna be great.
Yeah, and Nick's saying he's been to the MLK Monument in DC. It's huge. Yeah, it is huge, and it's like right there on the water. It's a beautiful location, right on like the reservoir, I think, and in cherry blossom season, it's a breathtaking part of the like monument campus to go to.
And hi, Walters.
Hey, Walters. Welcome. How you guys doing?
Thanks for doing
all right, so for the next one on my list, I kind of went a little bit more on the musical scene and thought of Memphis, Tennessee, obviously, with kind of the Beale Street Historic District. So there's a lot of like famous venues and history and culture that's taking place there. People like Louis Armstrong, B.B. King, etc. have like played in like some of the famous musical joints down there. I guess Elvis spent a good amount of time there on Beale Street, kind of incorporating a lot of that music into his flavor and whatnot. So there's a lot to do and see there for music lovers. For those who are more sports inclined, the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum in Kansas City, Missouri seems like a really cool place to go to, and it kind of chronicles the early African American baseball scene,
which would be so cool to learn about, I think.
Yeah, and it's talking about people like they have in-depth exhibits on like Jackie Robinson or Buck O'Neill and whatnot. Yeah. So there's a lot to do and see there. It's like a $10 admission for adults, $6 for kids.
And there's some good videos on the Walters World channel about Kansas City too. Yep. So if you guys do a road trip destination to Kansas City, check them out too.
Yeah, and I mean, great barbecue in Kansas City.
Oh, right? Yeah. But you also had another one in Kansas City.
Well, actually, it's just while you're there, it's a great twofer, because in the same building as the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum is the the American Jazz Museum, I think. So they share a building, so you can kind of go hit two museums that are powerful and really important to like history and culture in the African American community, kind of in one go. And then the fifth one I have is the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad National Historical Park, which is in Maryland. It's kind of closer to the Delaware border, and I think it's built on the place where Harriet Tubman was actually born. There's another National Historic Site up up in New York, which is where she lived in the latter part of her life. And I think that plus the church that she was a part of have kind of been incorporated into a National Historic Site that happened in like 2016, 2017. But, this one in Maryland seems pretty cool and pretty interesting, and a good place to learn about that history.
There was also a Harriet Tubman movie, I think, that came out last winter that I never saw. Usually we only watch movies on airplanes, and now that we're not on airplanes, we're like missing all of the movies. So if any of you guys saw that movie, let me know if you liked it or not.
So those are my 5, maybe my 105 locations. The Civil Rights Trail, Smithsonian Museums, Museum of African American History and Culture, Beale Street, the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, and the Harriet Tubman Underground. Wow, that's a mouthful. Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad National Historical Park.
Yeah.
So those are mine. That's a couple of thousands of places that you could go to.
We can jump into what everybody else is saying too for suggestions about this, but I want to say hi to Michael Mon. Welcome to you as well,
Michael.
All right. So I saw Peter said I went to the DC Museum on a solo trip where I met and ended up touring around with 4 Germans and 2 Australians. Interesting variety of worldwide perspectives. That would be really interesting to like see the museum from their eyes too. And
Thomas Reiser's been to both that museum and the MLK Monument.
Yeah,
in
we've
DC.
been to the MLK Monument. Yeah. But again, we haven't done all the Smithsonian's. I've done a few, but not all of them, and need to, clearly. Yeah. And then I think we missed a few, actually. There was a lot of chat, which is awesome. I think Katie said, nice, I did a week in Montgomery last year. A lot to see. Really got a lot of the Legacy Museum and Memorial for Peace and Justice at Tuskegee.
And the Tuskegee Airmen Museum. Yeah, the Tuskegee Airmen, there's a really interesting story in American history. I think they were an entirely African-American fighter pilots and airmen during World War II. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would love to learn more about that. And Peter also said museum. Oh yeah, so I already read that one.
Yeah. Lori was talking about that. There's so much in California in terms of cultural diversity, depending on kind of what it is that you're trying to explore and experience. And when I get into Latino stuff, I actually have 2 locations in both San Francisco and in LA that obviously there's a lot to do on the Latino side of things.
Yeah, and Blaine said that Beaufort, South Carolina, and Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, both have Gullah Native tours, which is cool. Which I assume that's like the Native American tribes in the area. Yep. And I'll be getting into. I can actually do that next. The Native American cultural stops, but that one was not on my list, so it's really good to have everybody chime in. And I think particularly when it comes to the Native American stuff, there is actually a lot more because there's reservations all over the country, and a lot of those will have information to learn about. And on top of that, you can learn about different things at national parks too. Most of the national parks will have something about the Native Americans that had lived there in the past. So, sorry, I just don't want to skip anybody's comments. Walter's World said it's an incredible museum in DC. You need to get tickets beforehand, even if it's free, because it gets so busy.
That's
really
good.
Amazing.
That's a good tip.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's going to be super busy once it reopens, too. Sorry, we kind of hopped around because we missed a little bit. And Scorpio Sue says, Chicago has great jazz and blues clubs to visit. My friend loves Andy's Jazz Club. And that's very true. There's several jazz clubs in Chicago. I've never been to a blues club, but my dad, Alan A., loves jazz, so I don't know if he's going to jump in and chime in on that one, too.
We did go to a birthday party at the House of Blues, though.
We did, but...
You even performed on stage.
I did, but I'm not, a performer.
She sang
It was like...
She performed on the main stage at the Chicago House of Blues. Just saying, guys. There's video.
Accurate.
There's video.
But I'm not a singer. It was live band karaoke.
Yeah, but it was so I did not perform. They did not call my name. I signed up for tequila, and they didn't call that one.
Like the song.
Tequila.
Oh, you would have crushed it.
I would have killed that.
Darian says, oh, so Thomas Reiser says Gullah is African American.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry about that. Sorry for getting that wrong. And topical for what Derek was talking about. So that's great. And Darian says, if anyone likes aviation, check out the Museum of Aviation in Warner Robins, Georgia. It is the second largest aerospace museum in the U.S. Air Force.
Cool.
Awesome. And Georgia's definitely a state that's pretty opened up right now. So if anyone's heading down there, that might be a good stop. And I can't pronounce this, so do you want to give that one a try?
Daufuskie.
There you go.
The Daufuskie Island is the island you want to visit. I don't know what that's in reference to, but cool.
We might have missed something then.
But Mark is saying that, Derek, we have the same list. Great minds think alike.
Great.
I mean, it's kind of cheating though when you say the Civil Rights Trail, because it's like it's 100 places. But yeah, no,
he had to cover his bases.
I was covering my bases a little bit. I didn't have a similar thing with the Latino side of things, so we shall
Bonnie
see.
said, head smashed in Buffalo, jump a really cool World Heritage Site museum in Alberta near the Rocky Mountains. Off the beaten track, but worth it if you're in that area. We'll have to write that down because I really want to go to like the Rocky Mountains part of Canada for sure. Sorry, our new roommate just texted us a photo of what's going on downstairs.
And I roasted a chicken with a bunch of garlic and stuff, and her dog is like all over her trying to get to the food. So that's fun.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
We'll bring the dog up maybe in a bit, just to add a little pizzazz to the live stream.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, and Mark was saying Daufuskie Island is off of Hilton Head, and it was the island that the Gullah Island he was talking about. Cool. I don't know what Scorpio Sue was wooting me about, but thank you. I appreciate it. I lost that trail. My dad says, Alan A. says, Andy's was my favorite jazz club when I worked downtown. Went there for lunch at least once a week. Very cool. And then Peter said, I went to Buddy Guy's Legends in Chicago. We hope that all of these can open up soon so we can go to them again, because they're all like so close, you know, we can go experience it. We'll have to get out there.
Yeah.
Darian says the Tuskegee Airmen were a group of African American and Caribbean born military pilots who fought in World War II.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Yep. Blamed.
And if we miss something that you guys say, just say it again.
Yeah.
For some reason, we're getting a lot of jumping around today.
So Mark is saying that they plan to head to the island later this summer. So that's really cool.
to Hilton Head or to the...
I assume to the Gullah Island.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense too.
Daufuskie. Cool. Okay.
We hope we can too. We're still waiting to see what's up. Hey, Eric Brown, welcome.
Oh, the woot was for your karaoke singing next.
Oh.
She was pretty darn good. It was great. Hey, Eric Brown, welcome. How you doing? Simply Jocelyn.
Welcome, Simply Jocelyn.
We've got a cooking star on our hands.
So fun to have.
You'd be proud. I roasted
on.
a garlic chicken tonight, and I was channeling my inner Jocelyn. So
That's
that was
true.
good.
You were. All right, so I can do the Native American one next. But like I was saying before, there's a lot of ways to experience Native American culture. There's in almost every state there's Native American reservations that you can go to and just try to learn about. A lot of them will have in normal years like powwows that are open to the public that I was researching. And I don't know if they would this year or not, so definitely look into any tribes near you or on your road trip destinations. But it's definitely a really cool way to go see their culture. I was able to attend a powwow at Standing Rock in North Dakota when I was in high school, and it's just like super impactful. Then also too, like I was saying, state parks and national parks usually have really strong history with having Native American tribes kind of living in that area. And so there's going to be just information at the visitor centers and at like different plaques around the parks that might talk about the artifacts that have been found there, or maybe the cave dwellings, or the like paint, what are they called, the paintings on the rocks and stuff like that. So just taking the time to like learn about that when you guys are there will be really important. So that being said, I have 3 different specific destinations for you to visit if you wanted to add this to an itinerary. So there is a Smithsonian museum called the National Museum of the American Indian. That museum actually has 2 locations. One of them is in Washington, D.C., and one of them is in New York. I have briefly been to the one in New York, not the one in Washington, D.C., but currently, of course, both of them are closed until further notice. But there is a YouTube channel that has a lot of like the talks that have like recordings of the talks that they've hosted, or just different information about specific exhibits and stuff like that. So that YouTube channel is Smithsonian NMAI. Yes, petroglyphs. Thank you. So all one word. That's the YouTube channel. Then on the website itself, I found that there was 10 online exhibits that you can tour and basically learn about what their exhibits are about. So if you really can't wait and want to experience that, then that's a really good place to start. Then there's another museum in Phoenix, Arizona. It's called the Heard Museum, and that specifically centers around Native American art. According to their website, they are reopening to the public on June 9th. So next week.
Nice.
But their whole mission is to advance Native American art. And so I think it's really neat that they created that museum in Arizona, because Arizona itself has 22 different tribes, which is a very large number. So it's just really meaningful that they kind of put that in the center of that state. I also, just to add, have been to, I mentioned on this channel on one of the live streams several weeks ago that I go typically every February to the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show, which is the largest like gem, mineral, fossil art show in the world. And one of 50 different collections of gems, jewelry, art, etc. One of them is African Art Village, like I mentioned on the previous live stream, but another one is Native American art, and they actually have people from lots of different tribes come and bring art to sell at that place. So if you are
It's a good
interested,
way to support like native, artisans and whatnot.
if you're interested in Native American art, it is really cool to go learn, like go to those art shows that support them, and like literally talk to the artists, because they all want to talk to people and they all want to share their culture. And that's definitely been a really cool way for me to learn about it. Just, conversing. So
Speaking to people.
yeah, like what's talking to people? I don't know. No,
well, that's the one thing I will say is about having a third person that just moved in with us, right? Having somebody that's not like us to talk to, like in person, is like such a weird experience now post COVID, where we're like, oh my god, there's somebody who has another viewpoint to
I feel
talk
like
to
we
right
keep
now.
like following her around the house, like, oh,
What
we
do
can hang out with
wanna
you
talk?
now.
You want to hang out? Want to hang out? Want to hang? Want to hang?
She's like, go away. No, just kidding.
It's fun.
And then the last one that I wanted to mention is the Cherokee Heritage Center, which is in Tahlequah. I might be pronouncing that wrong. Oklahoma. So I looked up on a map. It's like kind of southeast of Tulsa, close to the Arkansas border. And again, currently closed. But what I thought looked super cool about it, and I really want to go there, is that it has like this interactive experience. So they've kind of created, let me see what I wrote. So it's a living history exhibit, and they've created a historical village, kind of based in like the 1800s of what a Cherokee village might look like, and it's called Deligua, and you can walk around and like learn about everyday life, the art, etc. Within that. So I thought that was super neat, and I really want to go there. But then they also have a Trail of Tears exhibit too,
Yep.
Which in
It's
Oklahoma is like paramount to learn about. So I've mentioned this before, but like my grandmother grew up, I think it was like the first 10 years of her life, in and around like a Native American reservation in the Choctaw area of Oklahoma. So definitely have a huge respect for the Native Americans in our family.
Yeah. And then just a couple of little ones to add on my end from the Native Americans is one really cool like archaeological type site to go to is Montezuma Castle down in Arizona, and that's like ancient cliff dwellings.
On top of that, Mesa Verde National Park in Colorado too. It's also cliff dwellings. Wow, neither of us can say it.
It's hard to say, but so these are from the. Let's see. I went to this when I was much younger, but it's the Sinagua people, which was a pre-Columbian culture closely related to the Hohokam, and they were built between like 1100 and 1425. So not ancient, but like pre-Columbian, and that was pretty cool. I think it's kind of like misnamed, the whole like Montezuma Castle, because it has nothing to do with Montezuma, which was a Mexican Aztec leader.
Yeah.
And then the other one that I wanted to just shout out is just the mounds generally in the kind of Midwest area. There's a number of places where a lot of like big mounds were built by native peoples. One of the locations here in Illinois that you could go to is the Cahokia Mountains Museum Society, which kind of talks a lot about, preserving the remains of the prehistoric civilizations that were around this area. So pretty cool stuff, and there's just a lot to do and see on native cultures. And while those I just talked about are more like the prehistory, like the ancient stuff, like going and seeing like the living, breathing culture that still exists today with some of these other ones that Eliz was talking about is very impactful.
Gallivanting Gals are saying that tons of places out west are fantastic for Native American history, and I completely agree. And also just, if you just stop, for example, at trading posts within like the Navajo Nation, for example, I think one might be in Tuba City, one might be in Kayenta. They are just really cool to stop in and see what the hometown feels like around there, as well as look at all of their local art.
And Mound State Park in Indiana is pretty interesting. Yeah.
Have you been to that one?
When I was young.
Yeah. So we'll just jump into what everybody's saying.
Scroll up a little.
Yeah, I think we loved that somebody came up
petroglyphs.
with the word petroglyphs.
Thank
and
you,
I couldn't
Gallivanting
think of
Gals.
Thank you. All right. And Megan said that she made Jocelyn's lamb.
Oh, nice.
And potatoes.
They were great.
We're going to have to try that out too.
A Michelin star in Jocelyn's future. Nice.
All right. So Gallivanting Gals are saying they're hoping most places are open along their route.
Yeah.
Along your route, I think you might have some good luck.
Eric Brown is talking to Katie and saying that he'll have to check him out. He usually doesn't go to plantations, but he needs to make it to one. It's a sad part of American history, but you kind of need to. I see it as a little bit like the concentration camps in Germany. That might not be the most comfortable or pleasant experience to go witness that and see it, but it's kind of an important part of growing and kind of pushing your boundaries and understanding like the human suffering that's taken place over the years. So it's something to witness.
Yeah.
Gallivanting Gals is saying the Native American Museum in DC is great.
Yes.
I've actually never been to the one in D.C. I've been to the one in New York multiple times when we lived there. And before she moved out, I would go there sometimes because they had like nice air conditioning and stuff. But also really cool exhibits. So,
yeah.
Like talking about like the dugout canoes and everything. It's very cool.
It is very cool. And then Jocelyn was talking to Eric Brown saying, yeah. Oh, is that what you were reading before, the plantation museums?
Eric talked about it.
Okay, and then so Jocelyn was saying plantation museums are really starting to focus on the importance of the enslaved people. It is heart-rending, but so deep and rich and important for all of us to really know.
And it's not just that, but it's also, if you look at like Monticello or Mount Vernon, a lot of those places are really starting to talk a lot more about not just the famous white man that lived there, but also the history of enslavement and the people that also lived there and died there. So it's pretty important.
Yeah. We support that. And then, Gem and Mineral Show is fantastic. If anyone can make it out in early February to Tucson for that, I highly recommend it. I do try to go every single year. Yeah.
Lori Sims is saying I have a number of black pottery from the villages. Whoa,
ooh,
you
sorry,
really just got me there.
Jumped.
That make them in Oaxaca, Mexico. That I flew back in straw and in a woven basket. That's awesome.
That
really
is
cool.
really neat.
I need to make it down to Oaxaca.
Yeah, we were trying to go to Mexico this year with Derek's grandfather because
we want to take him to the place where he was born down there.
He was born in Michoacan, and he wanted to go back. So we had every intention to go, and Derek's first time, and go back with him. So maybe 2021.
Walters is saying that they went. So Mark is saying that he went to Montezuma's castle a few years back. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I went there when I was like little, visiting my family in Arizona, and I thought it was like super cool. I was like, oh my gosh, that'd be such a cool place to live. But yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, and then Cahokia Mounds Historic Site. We went when we were in school. That was our end of the year trip in grade school a few times. So we never made it that far out from the Chicago suburbs, but I think that would actually be a really cool spot to add to our like day trip list, perhaps, if we can kind of do it in a day from Chicago.
Yeah, and Galvin and Gal was talking about Mound State Park and whatnot, and then Nick is talking about the fact that his town is called Mound, Minnesota, because there are so many Indian burial sites around there.
Wow, neat.
Interesting.
And Eric Brown says native art is great, and it truly is.
Yeah,
and it's
really
so, I mean, there's so many different kinds, too, that, everyone's going to find something that resonates with them, I think.
Galvin the Gals is taking off, but thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
All right. And safe travels to you guys, too. And thank you for joining, and hopefully we get to tune into your trip. We're excited for that. Yeah. And then Simply Jocelyn. Jocelyn says, the plantations are so much like the concentration camps. We need to experience it to help defeat it now and in the future.
Yeah.
Spot on. That's so true.
Yeah.
And then everyone's saying bye to the gals. And then Means to Travel, we should go together.
To the
yes,
Gem Mineral Show.
Girl, I'm with you. And then we can go to EG's. And then we can go hiking.
Oh, you're not wearing your not your knockoff, but your...
I'm actually not even wearing my regular jewelry.
You're not wearing your David Yurman look-alike jewelry that she buys at the Gem Mineral Show that she gets a lot of compliments on because it looks really nice.
Yeah. There's a
and
lot
she
of
knows
great
the
stuff
artisan,
at the
so
Gem
that's very cool.
Yes.
So Mark Finley is saying the San Antonio Mission Tour is a great way to experience early Latino life in America. The Alamo is a mission, but it's more like a museum. The other missions are better for the real experience. And Mark, it's like you're reading my mind.
You're helping us move to the next one.
I've got some stuff to talk about, man. So Latino culture.
Derek is super pumped because he is Latino, so...
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that I'm, sad to say I've never been to that I would love to go experience. So I kind of picked some like major cities that have like really deep Latino roots, and kind of went that way about coming up with this list. So the first one on my list is Miami, major, Cubano roots and all that kind of stuff. And the one there is the Perez Art Museum. I think art kind of plays a little bit more of a role here because that's a lot of what I think of when I think of Latino culture. And the Perez Art Museum, I think they also go by Pam, like P-A-M.
Hey, Kabeka, welcome.
Hey, Alex, how you? Welcome, bud. So that's a place that has collections from kind of all over the Latin world, as well as exhibits about like the African diaspora, Latin America, and the Caribbean. So pretty diverse, range of things that you can see there. But there is a heavy emphasis on Latino art in that place. And Miami just generally is a great place to, really feel and understand a lot of the Caribbean cultures as well as specifically the Cuban. So Miami, it's awesome. I love Miami. It's a great town. The next place in Texas, as Mark was saying, San Antonio. I chose the La Villita Historic Arts Village in San Antonio, which they kind of consider the first neighborhood of San Antonio. It kind of grew up, I think, across the river from the Alamo, and today it's this really cool kind of artisan community, and it has a lot of Latino artisans that are kind of doing traditional crafts or like really cool art, glass blowing, things like that. So it's a great place where you can go kind of see contemporary culture, see what they're doing today, and you can help support local artists at the same time, which I think is pretty cool. At the same time, San Antonio, being such a historic city, has 4 Spanish missions as well as the Alamo that you can go see and experience, which kind of gets you a lot of that colonial Spanish, Mexican type history. So definitely worth
it
seeing.
sounds like Mark and Jocelyn have both kind of explored San Antonio. So if you guys have been to La Villita, definitely let us know what you think.
So next, I had to go local. So coming back to Chicago, there's the National Museum of Mexican Art, which has a massive collection. It covers like 3,000 years of history. It has over like 10,000 pieces of art in it, and it's like a massive museum about Mexican art. And sadly, I've not been there yet. I really want to make it there. They're not open yet, obviously post-COVID, but it's a place I really want to make it to here in Chicago. And like a bonus, if you're coming to Chicago, like the Latino Mexican like neighborhood here is really Pilsen. And there's a ton of great like street art,
like
murals in Little Village. But like Pilsen specifically has like a ton of like murals, street art, great food, like a lot to do and see there. So
but even up by us, like Chicago's really embracing lately the street murals, and up in our neighborhood there's a like Latino mural as well, right by the 606 on Damon.
It's not Latino.
What is it?
It's a white dude.
Oh, whoopsies.
It's no problem. No, but
the
there
artist is white, you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, but then there's like, but there are some like J.C. Rivera is like a really big like Chicago street artist that has a bunch of art kind of throughout Chicago. He's really done a lot of commissions with like local restaurants. So he's got this. If you're ever in Chicago and you see a mural of like a bear that's kind of like got like a patch on it, like it's like a white bandage looking thing. That's like his like mascot type thing that he always puts on buildings, and it's called Champ. It's pretty fun. So highly recommend it. He's done like I think all the Broken English restaurants here in Chicago, which is a Mexican place here, which is really really cool.
Yum, good food.
All right, so now heading out to California, like in Lori's neck of the woods. I chose one place in San Francisco and one in LA.
And Katie Smith lives out there.
And
too.
Katie Smith too.
Yeah.
So in SF, I kind of chose an entire neighborhood. Sorry, it's the Mission District. And the Mission District, like the heart of it kind of is 24. Like you walk down the street and you look down an alley and there's like just like murals everywhere. It's like a very cool place to go. And there's one spot there that does art that I thought sounded really cool in my research, but that I want to go to. It's called Galeria de la Raza, and it has like changing exhibits featuring like Chicano and Latino artists, and it's not just like exhibits, but it's also, they sell art, so you can actually support, contemporary and like up and coming Latino artists, which is really cool to me. I think that'd be a cool place to like go buy a piece of art. And then in LA, there's the Plaza de Cultura y Artes, which is a place that kind of talks a lot about LA founding, like the founding of Los Angeles, a lot of the history there. And they have a lot of interactive exhibits with an emphasis on Mexican and Mexican American identity. So it talks a lot about, what it is to be Mexican American in the United States. And that's something that I feel very strongly about, and I would love to go see that the next time I'm in LA. Unfortunately, every time I've been to LA, we've never actually made it to downtown LA. So hopefully next time we'll be able to make it downtown and see some museums. I'm usually there on work. So
you're supposed to go in 2020.
We really were.
Yep.
It's rough. We were gonna go see Capico,
Yeah.
and many others, but that kind of got
it got postponed, and then we couldn't go because of COVID. Yeah.
So again, those are like my 5 like Latino things. Obviously, there's things to do and see all over the place. It's there's a lot to do and see there.
It seems like a lot of other people have chimed in too, which is amazing. And again, if you're new to joining this live stream, we are going through a quick short list of places that we have researched that cover in the U.S. African American culture, Native American culture, Latino, and I'll go into Asian American culture real soon. But we also wanted to make this interactive, so if you have been to any of these places, let us know what your experience was like, and if you have any other ones that, whether it's really small or just a really big one, that we should all know about, then please let us know, because there's people on this chat literally from all over the country and the world, and we're all eager to learn more.
Cool. So if we look at some of the things that have been said, so Mark Finley, the San Antonio Mission Tour is a great way to experience early Latino life in America. The Alamo is a mission, but it's more like a museum. The other missions are better for the real experience. Yeah, and we've never actually been to San Antonio, so there's a lot that we'd love to see there. If and when we will make it there.
That's like my number one city I want to go to in Texas.
Really?
I think I have been to Texas, but not San Antonio yet.
And we've been to some missions, like we've been to like in Tucson. There's the San Javier del Bac mission, which is gorgeous. It's beautiful.
Honorable mention.
Honorable
mention.
It's
That one's really, really pretty.
But obviously missions played a huge role in kind of the colonial history of Spanish rule in the Americas. And one of the things about, Latinos and stuff, and then like Mexican American and like all that kind of stuff, is that if you think about it, like California, New Mexico, Arizona, all these places used to be part of Mexico. So the history there runs very deep, back to colonial times. And, it's a rich history. So.
Yeah.
Lori Sims, follow the California Mission Trail to get a true feel for what happened to indigenous Indians when the Spanish came. It is an eye-opening from what is taught in school. Yeah, there was a lot that happened with the Catholic missions, that missionaries that came across with the Spanish. There's some things that are just like heart-rending to hear about, like with the destruction of basically the written language of, I think, the Aztecs. They like burnt all that literature and the scrolls and stuff, and that's just, it's heartbreaking to hear about. It's like, why would you do that? So there's a lot there, but at the same time, many Catholic priests also played a very important role in things like indigenous rights in Mexico and things like that. Some of the national heroes of Mexico are like Jesuit priests and stuff like that. So there's
a lot of layers.
There's layers. It's an onion.
It's an onion, yes.
Yeah. Michael Mann is saying Miami's great. Really diverse Latino culture. Yeah, Miami's awesome. I truly love Miami. It's really cool. Eric Brown, okay, I'm thinking of San Antonio in a couple weeks. I would appreciate any recommendations. I know I'm definitely going to the Alamo.
I'm jealous.
Cool.
I kind of want to just like eat at a cafe along the little rivers and stuff too. In San Antonio.
So Nick Peterson saying Plymouth Plantation in Plymouth, Massachusetts is a fantastic museum. It's a living history museum where they have a street set in the year 1623 after pilgrims arrived. One of two. So I guess two of two is actors portray like they are the actual pilgrims. They also have a section of the property dedicated to the Wampanoag tribe. Oh, that's cool.
That's great that they included the information about the tribes there.
And Mark Finley is telling Eric that Terry and him will put together a list for him on the group page for Walter's World, talking about things to do and see in San Antonio.
Whoop, whoop.
Very cool.
I'll be writing those down.
Yeah, I'll be checking those out.
And Thomas Reiser says the Riverwalk and the missions, definitely.
Nice. And Nick is saying that part, the Wapango tribe, Wampanoag tribe, is run by the descendants of the tribe that the pilgrims met in 1620. Great to learn their culture and traditions. Nice. Simply Jocelyn, I haven't been there when in San Antonio. I was focused on the missions, hanging with my college roommate, and puffy tacos. I like tacos.
I've never had a puffy taco. I
don't
need
know
to
what-
have
I don't
one.
know what that is.
I think it's like the puffy shell.
Okay.
Do
So
that
Eric
last.
Brown,
Okay.
Eric Brown's telling Mark that he's probably going to do Houston, Austin, and San Antonio for 4 days. That sounds like a cool trip, though. Like, there's so much to do and see in Austin, I know.
Yeah.
Huge music scene, a lot of really cool, like, just contemporary culture. So that sounds really cool.
Those are like the places I have not been in Texas.
Yeah, and Simply Jocelyn is telling Eric that if he ever makes it to Illinois, the Lincoln Presidential Library is pretty incredible. Huh, I've never been there.
Neither have I. I think is it in Springfield? Do tell.
I don't know. But Ryan Donahue is saying that the LBJ is in Austin, which I think is true. So the LBJ Presidential Library would be in Austin.
Is there also a Roosevelt Theater? Ryan Donahue says, yeah. Nick says, Jocelyn, I've been to the Lincoln Library and loved it.
Nice.
Man, you and I are just missing out. Everyone's been to all these places, and we have got to go.
I don't know if I've ever been to a presidential library,
I've never been to any of them, yeah.
but that's cool. Okay, so Ryan Donahue is saying I should probably revisit the JFK library. Haven't been since middle school trip. Yeah.
I assume that must be in Boston or elsewhere in Massachusetts.
Yeah, so Eric Brown is saying I would definitely go. I've been to the Clinton, W. Bush, JFK, and Carter, and I love the presidential libraries.
So the Clinton I've seen part of a travel TV show about. That one's in Little Rock. That one looks pretty neat.
The LBJ library is very good too. It's in Austin, according to Mark. And Eric Brown is saying it is, but Austin is close to San Antonio and Houston. Okay. All right. Nick Peterson is saying to Thomas that I love the mural outside the train depot where Lincoln gave his speech before he left for Washington in 1861 to become president. Oh, go check that out.
Cool. Speaking of trains, since we have Nick and Thomas on here.
No, first, so Katie Smith is saying the mission in
sorry.
SF is awesome. There are also a few Diego Rivera murals around,
Ooh.
and there's a Frida Kahlo exhibit now in the De Young Museum once it opens.
Yeah,
Cool.
once it opens back.
And Capico is telling us that, by the way, one cool museum in LA related to Mexican heritage is the LA County Museum of Natural History. They have a Becoming LA exhibit. That's cool.
California's got to have so many great exhibits like that.
Yeah, and Alex is saying the exhibit traces LA's history as a city under Native American, then Spanish, then Mexican,
Yeah.
then independent California, and American control. Wow, that's a lot of history.
Yeah, and sounds similar to when I went to the Museum of the City of New York when we lived there. It kind of showed the different stages that New York went through as well. LA and San Francisco have been through probably even more. But it's fascinating just to see how the city grew on itself.
Yeah. Mark is saying to Jocelyn that he's got a hilarious story about puppy tacos, and he's going to have to post about it. Now I want tacos.
Yeah.
I really want tacos.
And I'm looking forward to that. That sounds fun. Also, hello, Tyler Hansen.
Hey, Tyler Hansen. How you doing, bud?
He's into puppy tacos, too.
Dude, so me and him used to go to this like Tex-Mex place in Greenwood, Indiana, called what's Roscoe's Tacos. That is not authentic Mexican food, but it was good. They had fun names for their stuff, like the Pecos Bill burrito and whatnot. There's like a lot of like tall tale type stuff.
Nice.
It was yummy.
All right, and then Lori Sims says, I used my tour of the California missions up the coast to get better teaching material. Oh, that's neat. So you would go and to all the different missions to get information for the kids. That's awesome. Okay.
Okay, so similar to Jocelyn is saying that's in Springfield.
Okay, yeah, that makes
library.
sense.
Yep. The Roosevelt Library is in Hyde Park, New York. That makes sense, because that's where the Roosevelts are from. Okay, so Jocelyn is telling us that it is like a soft taco that is flash fried and puffs up, all light and crispy, and is delectable. That sounds good.
Ooh. That's actually not what I was picturing.
It's like a deep fried soft taco.
Yeah, I wasn't picturing the fried part as much.
I did it.
Yeah, me too.
Lori Sims, the Ronald Reagan has a hologram which brings it to life. That's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
And Kubaki is telling us that she's been to the Clinton Library in Little Rock. Cool.
Nice.
Nick is asking us if we ever went to Grant's tomb in Manhattan, the final resting place of Ulysses S. Grant. Yes, I've been there. It's really cool. It's kind of like Upper
Where
West
is it?
Side. It's on the Upper West.
Is it over in the park over there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I've been there too.
Yeah, if you walk along,
Yes.
yeah, if you walk along the Riverside Park, you
Yes.
run into it. It's a big domed building, and they've got the tomb in there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's
it's
a really
beautiful
cool park
building.
in general.
Yeah.
But anyways, I wanted to ask specifically Nick and Thomas for the Asian American culture that cultural opportunities I'm about to get into. I was able to find a part of a museum in California that has information about the Chinese that helped build the railroad here, but I wasn't able to find a specific museum talking about it. So I'm curious if you guys know, as train buffs, one that talks a little bit more about it. So the one here, I have it up here. The one that I see is the California State Railroad Museum, and apparently they have a section of it that talks about the experience of the Chinese workers. So please let me know if I'm totally missing something, because I feel like I might be. All right, so diving into where to find Asian American culture in the U.S. So there is a Smithsonian museum, technically, but they say it's a museum without walls. So basically, there's not a physical location. They kind of create exhibits in different places, both in D.C. and around the country.
Steal that.
Okay. And this one's called the Smithsonian Asian Pacific American Center. So it's based in Washington, D.C. There's no physical building, and so they say that they create community central museum experiences all around the U.S. And right now, when I went to their website today, they have online resources that help like parents and teachers specifically address the racism and like xenophobia around COVID-19. Oh my gosh, I'm like about to cry just from that. But it was just really moving. So definitely, if you're a parent or teacher, something to look at, or just a human. All right, I need a break.
Here you go.
No, I'll go over here.
Do you want me to talk about some? Are you okay?
I'm okay. All right, I can do the next one.
Okay.
So the next one is the Chinese American Museum of Chicago. So that's in Chinatown here in Chicago. And they say, according to the website, that they are aiming to reopen on June 15th. And then it says, like, pending any changes. So very likely that it won't at this point, but they're aiming to. And some of the exhibits that they talked about I thought sounded really cool, and I want us to go there like very soon, once the museum does eventually reopen. One of them was an oral history called like My Chinatown, and talks about just stories from within American Chinatowns. And then there's another one that I thought sounded really cool called The Great Wall to the Great Lakes. So it specifically talks about the Chinese population that moved to the Great Lakes area. So, because we're in Chicago, that just feels, really important to learn about. And then the last one, I couldn't quite tell what the official name of the museum is because it seems like it's referred to as two different things, so I'm going to just say both. One of them is called the World War II Japanese American Internment Museum, and the other one is the Rower Japanese American Relocation Center. So it's a very small museum in McKegee, Arkansas. And it's basically in this old train depot, actually, that they turned into a museum. And they have an online tour available right now. What was interesting about the online tour as I was watching it is that it didn't focus in on each exhibit. It kind of just like walks you through. But if you are driving through Arkansas, it's kind of in like the Ozarks area of Arkansas. And really interesting to learn about.
And it
closer
talks
to the
about,
Mississippi border, actually.
Yeah, and it talks about the plight and the living conditions of Japanese Americans who were placed into these internment camps during World War II off of the fear that they would be maybe spies or something like that for the Imperial Japanese Army, and it was a massive infringement upon the constitutional rights of these American citizens and nationals and stuff. And it was a dark part of fairly recent American history, and something that I don't think gets a lot of attention in American history, and I don't think it's taught enough in classes. It kind of shows that like very easily, somebody, things can flip pretty quickly, and we need to understand that it can happen. It can happen recently, and we need to not do that. So.
Yeah. So if we get down to the southern states, Arkansas is one of the states I have not been to, so that's definitely going to be a stop for us if we get there.
Yeah, so I do want to talk about something that Lori talked about, Nick, because
Yeah.
it didn't make it on our list. But she says, we have the largest Vietnamese population in America in Westminster, California.
Cool.
And again, that's because, and she talks about it here, most were evacuees from Vietnam. So when Vietnam fell and it was evacuated, so a lot of the people that were helping the American troops and the Americans on the ground in Vietnam were evacuated out and came to California. So there's a humongous Vietnamese population there, and there's just a lot of history and culture now, so, post the Vietnam War. So that's a very interesting thing, and it's an interesting legacy from that conflict and that war.
Yeah. So it sounds like Nick was agreeing that the California State Railroad Museum is the one to go to learn about that. We also watched, I believe, a documentary about how the railroad was built at some point.
Yeah.
So just there's other ways to learn about it too, if that's something that you want to really dig into.
And Mo is saying, speaking of trains, next time you're in Northern Ireland, visit the Ulster Transport Museum in Coltra. Cool. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Nice.
All right, so Lori Sims is saying, go to Menzura SIC outside the desert of Mammoth, Bishop, California, where they were all placed when the government rounded them up and stole their farms. Yeah, it's sad.
Bye, Blaine. By the way, thanks for joining. Really good to have your ads in there.
Yeah, Blaine, welcome. And goodbye. Glad to have had you.
Yeah.
So, but just tagging on to the whole internment camps, like, that was not just here, like, that happened also, think about in Hawaii, where there's a large Japanese American population, and, they had concentration camps out there as well. So,
Yeah,
or internment camps.
on the museum's website that I was just mentioning, they actually have a map of where all the camps were, if anybody's curious.
Yeah.
But something that is important we all learn about. Jocelyn is saying that her dear friend who's Korean got a lot of hate during the early weeks of COVID. Worse is that people were terrible to her. 2 little boys. I'm not going to be able to make it through this conversation.
That's terrible.
Sad.
That's really terrible, and it's ignorant, and that's sad. I agree with Scorpio Sue that it's sad to see such hate. People need to learn kindness and have an open heart. Yeah. Ryan Donahue, history good or bad is still history, right? Yeah, I agree. I mean, you've got to kind of, it's my view that you need to understand and you need to, like, bear witness to, the ugly side of history as well as just the good side, because at the end of the day, no matter what side of a conflict you're on, like, bad things happen, and you've got to understand that, so hopefully you don't make those same mistakes going forward. America has had its share of ugliness, in the past and currently, and it's something that we just need to be very cognizant of, and the idea of just kind of not thinking about it, I don't think is something that anybody has the luxury of doing, and I think that it's incumbent upon all of us to understand that history and what is going on today in America. So
yeah. I'm gonna go get PG.
Eliz needs the dog.
I need my dog. Hold on.
Okay. It's been a tough week. It's been very hard. So glad to have you guys here though with us. It's much appreciated. So Katie Smith is telling us that PBS has a new show called Asian Americans, and episode 1 is about trains. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so I don't know if anybody watched, this is obviously not a PBS special, but there was a show called Hell on Wheels that was on AMC. Obviously it's an AMC show. It's a lot of action and stuff like that. But what's interesting about that is that, talking about emancipated slaves as well as the Asian communities that, built the railroads, kind of connecting the two. So, from kind of like east to west, they kind of met in the middle and whatnot, and you had predominantly, lots of Asian crews from, San Francisco and whatnot heading eastward, and then you had a lot of Irish and emancipated slaves heading westward. So that's kind of a interesting, oh wow, okay. There's our old man dog that now lives with us. He's like, what are you doing to me?
Say hi. This is Papa Gino, everybody.
He is a big lump.
He's a lot heavier than he looks. And he's just a lover.
And he's just cool. She's just chilling there, being held like a baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yes, dogs bring everyone together.
He snores even when he's not sleeping.
Yes.
So it's good.
If he starts making a snoring noise, that is very common. He also has like a little bit of a cough because he has a, what is it? Collapsed trachea. So if he makes that noise too, he's okay, I promise.
He's good. So Alan A., prior to resettling into the current Chinatown in Chicago, I recall from a WTTW, it's a local PBS station, that there was another area in Chicago where the Chinese settled. See Jeffrey Bayer's show. Interesting. I've actually never been to the Chinatown here in Chicago, but one of the cool things.
Cool.
Yeah, no, and actually we know a guy who does a lot of photography and stuff. John actually, who lives down in Chinatown and stuff. And he's told me he'd give me a tour and stuff. So as soon as things open up, I want to make it down there for a nice photography tour of Chinatown. But one of the cool things here in Chicago is that if you go, you can take the water taxi, and it stops in Chinatown. So you can actually take that pretty easily and get there via the river, which is pretty cool. he's just hanging.
Peter says this is the position they put their dog in when he's been bad. I hope he's okay.
Peachy's just hanging.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm cool. He loves laying on his back like this.
He is very chill. Yes, Nick.
And
hello, Brenna. I don't know how long you've been on, but yes, this is the right time to say hello.
It's actually funny.
Brenna says hi.
He can't hear us. He's deaf.
Oh, yeah, he's deaf, just so everybody knows.
It's funny because if you lay him on his back for like belly rubs and then you walk away, he just stays on his back. He'll just stay there for like 10 minutes. Like, just like, I'm waiting. Why did you guys leave?
Wait, Jocelyn has already made the reference to him looking like the never-ending story creature. He gets that a lot.
He gets that. He gets Ewok.
Yes.
He gets the dude from Neverending Story, and he looks like an old Italian man. All those things.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes. But he's the just chillest dog.
Yeah, he's fun. And when you roast a chicken, he loves you. So
yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
He was by my side the entire time I was
Also, if
roasting
anybody
chicken.
follows Trevor Noah on Instagram, Papa Gino is in his post from Valentine's Day this year.
Yeah, so he made a guest appearance
on
at
there.
the Trevor Noah show, which is great. So adorable.
Anywho.
Eliz was like, we're glad Megan's here, but we were really about the dog. No, that's her. Okay, so Simply Jocelyn, he's a cute pup. He's not really a pup, but yes.
Yeah.
So, all right, so Nick Peterson is saying, we met at Promontory Park in Utah, beautiful national monument, to the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad there. Yeah, Promontory Park Point, Utah, that's where they drove, like, the Golden Spike, right? And, like, finished it. They're like, it's completed. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I mean, the history of the railroads is really, and Nick knows this, right? But, like, that's, like, the history of the United States. Like, you look at a lot of the towns, and I think in, like, 5th grade or whatever it was, when I took, like, Indiana history in elementary school. Oh, he's snoring.
Starting to snore.
That was... His eyes are open. We don't know if he's asleep. But that's when we learned about, like, Indiana history, and they talk about a lot of the towns, prior to the railroads, towns usually popped up along rivers because that's where, like, ports were, and that's where, like, population centers would develop. But with the advent of the railroads, towns could develop almost anywhere that there was, like, a train stop. So that's why you have a lot of towns popping up along these railroad stops, which is pretty cool.
Good night, Jocelyn.
Jocelyn, thanks for joining us.
Say hi to everybody, and maybe Brigadier will be in your lap someday. She's saying that Brig doesn't get in their laps.
Yeah. Mo, I'll post pics of the museum in the Facebook tomorrow. Loads of old trains and vehicles, including the Ford Model T and DeLorean, etc. There's also a smaller museum nearby with fighter jets. That's cool. I assume he's talking about the museum in Ulster.
Oh, that's neat.
So
yeah.
That's really cool. Lori Sims, SF California, has a shop that makes all of the fortune cookies by hand, and you can tour it in Chinatown.
Cool. I've been
Fortune cookies, by the way, are a invention of California.
Oh, I didn't know that. I've been to the Chinatown in San Francisco several times. But just this last November, we went to such a good dim sum place. I think it was called, like, City View or something like that.
Yeah, City View is a really good kind of local gem in San Francisco for dim sum, and it's really cool because, like, you can do, like, a quick meal there. We were in and out very quickly because we had to catch a flight, and you go in, you sit down, they basically, like, bring up, like, trays, and they're like, or carts of food, and they're like, point to what you want, and they just, like, hand it off to you. It's hot, it's ready, like, the moment you sit down. So a good way to get a very good meal very quickly. We just kept pointing at things. We want the shumai.
Yeah, it was so delicious. Oh,
it reminded me of like being in like Singapore or China and stuff. It was delicious.
Yeah, now I want dim sum too. So there's a place in Chicago called Imperial Amian that does pretty good dim sum, but nowhere near as good as in San Francisco.
Well, not only that, but like Imperial Amian is good, but like they're known for their la mian, which is like a noodle soup, and it's a fancier type place. It's a.
Oh, you okay? You want?
I think you might want. Maybe I don't know. Does he want down?
Do you want down? I don't know. He kind of seems okay.
Yeah. So, but Imperial Amian is good. It's just a little bit like higher end.
I don't know if you guys can hear the snoring. Go ahead. Yes.
It's just hard. Thomas Reiser is saying that Barnes and Noble is opening at 10:30 tomorrow.
Ooh. The Barnes and Nobles here have been closed, so I am going to be super pumped when they open up, just to be able to like look at travel books again too. But yeah, I'm really hoping that more and more things will be opening up here in Illinois safely.
Ryan Donahue is saying, in reference to PG, no one outside of New England will get it, but papaginos.com. I don't know. I'll have to go check out papaginos.com.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go check that out.
It sounds like a pizza place.
Yeah, definitely does.
It sounds like a pizza place that should have Papagino's face on it.
Yeah.
He's like,
that's you. Yeah. But he can't hear, so he didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay,
maybe he wants that.
What's up? How
you doing, bud?
Byron says, and hello, Byron.
It's like,
Sorry, I'm being like
I don't
hiding behind this dog right now.
I don't like being on camera.
Best countries in Europe that are worth studying in or working in is most livable. Any thoughts? So I studied abroad and worked as an intern in London. So that's the only like experience I have with that. Yep. And Derek did the same in Sevilla, Spain. Both we did it at the same time in 2009, and loved it. But I have heard, like, if you're looking for more of like a affordable city or something like that, maybe like Lisbon is a good one. What do you think? I mean, I would live anywhere in Europe, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking like livability, I mean, Spain is super livable, very affordable. Portugal, extremely affordable, and good livability. I'd say both of those on the Iberian Peninsula would be, among my top choices, because you get like Mediterranean lifestyle, good food, good wine.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the job markets look like. I don't know what you do, but that's where I would go.
But there's also like small towns that are great to study in. Like Rachel, I don't know if she's still on. She went to the University of Bologna to study, and it sounded like a really great college town and stuff like that. And there's great college towns, kind of like Swansea and Cardiff and stuff too, in some of the smaller cities in different countries. So there's a lot to explore. I would focus more on like what type of program or job you are seeking out, and figure out where the hubs are for that, whether it's academic or employment, and then go from there.
Yeah, so Scorpion Sue is saying, Scorpio Sue, not Scorpion. Scorpio Sue is saying, if you're looking for a place to visit regarding Native American culture, check out Madeline Island and Apostle Islands in Upper Wisconsin. Cool. If we make it up to Wisconsin, we have to go.
Yeah, we were actually looking at going to Upper Wisconsin and the UP in Michigan. So that would be really fun.
Yeah. And Ryan Donahue is saying that there's a pizza chain in Montreal and maybe other Canadian cities called Boston Pizza. Don't know where they came up with that name. Because Boston's not known for its pizza.
That's funny.
Lobster, clam chowder.
You're just not supposed to know that it's not known for its pizza. Oh, hi.
The Canadians
You
know.
want to say hi to everybody again?
I'm kidding. Bonnie probably knows. All right, so Megan Morris is saying, thoughts on $462 Air Canada tickets from Cincinnati to Tokyo round trip in early December. Do you think by then Americans will be able to go there with no restrictions? Wow, I mean, I'd buy that.
Yeah.
I'd buy that, like, right now. That sounds great.
Can we come?
I think we're going down to Cincinnati.
We haven't been looking at international flight prices recently, and you're reminding me of that. So I feel like if they're starting to get a little bit cheaper, that probably means that supply is coming back, which I did read about this week, that, like, American and other airlines are starting to increase the number of flights domestically starting in July. So there might be an increase in the number of flights internationally later this year already.
Yeah.
There's just more seats available, and therefore they're just trying to sell them.
Yeah, and I would totally go to Japan. I mean, if you're looking at a place where it has, like, a really good, like, healthcare system and things like that, to me would be important during this time, Japan would be at the top of my list. So, I would totally personally jump on that. And then if, for whatever reason we're not allowed to go there, I'm sure that you'd get some sort of, you get some sort of, rebate or whatever.
He's just, like, staring at you.
What's up, bud?
He's like, what's that haircut? I don't know who that is.
Yeah, but I would jump on that because, when you go to a place like Japan or whatever, you would expect that your transit costs are going to be a major, factor into your budget. And at that kind of price, I mean, it's kind of hard to beat, so. Yeah. Lori Sims, I don't eat ice cream anymore, only gelato.
Oh, Megan was saying that they're not refundable, though.
Refundable at all?
That you can cancel for an Air Canada credit. I mean, that's something.
As long as you get the credit.
Yeah. Because that's so cheap that, like, you might be able to just use that to go to Vancouver at some point, too, in the future if needed. I would imagine that the U.S.-Canada border would at least be open by then.
He's doing some big-ass yawns.
I think he actually just burped. But
Ew, right in my face. You're so good thing you're cute.
Eric Brown says, I didn't know that Air Canada went to Asia. Probably not direct from Cincinnati. I'm curious if it's through, like, Toronto or whatever, but Air Canada definitely flies all over the place.
Yeah. The only thing I would say about the whole Air Canada thing is, like, look at other options for you and make sure that there are backup flights in the next, like, year or whatever that you would want to take with that potentially if you did have to get a credit and they put, like, a timing restraint on it. So.
Yeah.
So Nick Peterson, I can't buy my Ireland ticket for next summer until September, so I still need to wait a while.
Oh, they're making you wait? Or because you have a credit, I believe, for Ireland, unless I'm misremembering that. But interesting. I think, like, by September, you'll still probably be able to get kind of a good deal, I would imagine. So, hopefully.
Yeah, so Lori Sims is saying my trip to Rome from LAX cost $200 plus $266 in taxes, round trip, booked in December. Trip in September. Could not pass that up and was regular economy. That's a long flight from LA to Rome. But at least you can get, like, a full night's sleep if it's I assume it's an overnight flight. Megan's saying that the flight was Cincinnati to Toronto to Tokyo.
Yeah,
that makes
what I was
sense.
Guessing. Yeah. And there's actually a very large Asian Canadian population in Toronto. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's his trachea thing, guys. Right. Just so you know, he's okay. Right. He makes this noise. He's okay.
But let's put him down.
Let's put him down.
Put him down.
Okay. Put him on the floor.
All right, buddy. Oh God, you're so heavy.
He's so heavy.
God. You're so heavy, bud. Oh.
He's gonna love this rug, though. He's probably like, I've never been in this room.
You like soft things.
Yeah.
He just, like, passes out on, like, blankets.
Yeah, you're back.
Oh, he's back.
He just had to take a little walk.
He's like, had to walk it off.
Walk it off. Walk that cough off. Maybe he's a little embarrassed about coughing in front of the camera now.
He's an adorable old man. So Nick Peterson says, I have a voucher coming from Aer Lingus. The booking window for them is 330 days out, hence why I have to wait. Yeah. Thomas Reiser saying, I would not be surprised if Canada opens up after 7/5. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be.
We do our road
neat.
trip.
I was reading about how they might open it up after Canada Day, which is the 1st of July, and then 4th of July here in the U.S. is another holiday for us. But yeah, if anybody else has like travel questions, we're like open to talking about anything at this point.
Yeah, we just thought it was important to kind of talk about some of the different cultural experiences that people get, history and whatnot, given all the conversations that are taking place right now. And, obviously a lot of people are focusing on online information and things like that, but we thought it was cool to kind of think about some of the actual physical locations that people can go to as they start thinking about, whether it's a summer trip or road trip or what have you, or just thinking about a future travel to any of these locations. We thought that was important. So
It's okay. You can lay down if you want. He's gonna like knock over the microphone.
But we still love him.
Yeah.
So yeah, happy to talk about anything at this point.
Yeah, Nick Peterson saying that his voucher gave them a booking window. That's interesting.
330 days. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty common timing there.
I want to go to Tokyo now on that Air Canada deal. That sounds so nice.
I'm gonna book it right now.
Yeah, it's like, hold on.
Oh no, they heard us talking about it.
Yeah.
Jumped up the prices. No, because Japan's one of those places that we haven't. So I've only like stopped through it. I've spent maybe a grand total of 12 hours there. So
next year would be such a cool
massive
year to
place
go
on my
because
list
they're like prepping for the Olympics too.
Well, yeah, because like the Olympics got postponed. It was supposed to be this year, and now it's gonna be next year. And yeah, no, that'd be.
Yeah. So all the hotels were probably already like deep cleaned and looking fab for the Olympics this year, and so
Well, that's like
they'll be itching for customers.
Like if you look at a lot of the Asian cultures that we would be like most keen to go to and visit, one of the top ones is Japanese because we love the food. I've always had an interest in Japanese culture, back from when I used to like watch anime as a nerd, back in high school and stuff. So that would be a great place for us to go visit and kind of experience.
I think he didn't like the lights because he's still like right here with us, Papagino,
like hiding under
but
the
he's
desk.
Under the desk.
So Scorpio Sue is saying, I saw people waiting to go through security at Universal Orlando. Yikes. Social distancing, not so much. Yeah, and that's one of the concerns that I have is not so much like with like Universal or anything like that, but with all of the protests that have been happening, my concern is like two weeks from now, after the incubation period is over, is like what's going to happen, and that's my biggest concern for kind of everything that's happening right now.
Yeah.
And could be a heartbreaking kind of second order effect from everything that's going on, all the good work that is going on right now. So that's unfortunate.
Hopefully not, though.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Fingers crossed. Walter's World, Mark, is saying Tokyo for sure, and when you come back, it can be super fast and a bumpy way back. I guess there's a bumpy road. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. And then Nick says, what country surprised you the most in your travels? Do you have an immediate answer to that?
Surprised?
Yeah. Uruguay, I guess. Just because it like exceeded my expectations so much. I didn't go in like thinking it was going to be a negative experience in any way.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize I would love it so much. I highly recommend Uruguay to anyone who goes to South America, anyone who wants to just experience a really cool culture.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds good to me. I can't say that I've been necessarily like shocked, but like I haven't been like surprised by anything necessarily. I mean, China's one of those places that until you kind of really experience it, it's hard to really internalize what it's going to be like. So Beijing, Shanghai, etc., it's it's different, It's different than a lot of Western cultures and a lot of Western places. So I wouldn't say it was shocking, but I would say that it was there's a difference there. So but it's awesome, and I loved it. I'd love to go back. And I'd say probably one of the more shocking places that would be, based on everything I've heard, and I've never been to India, but from what I understand, coming from the West and going to India is a can be an overwhelming experience, and that's something that I want to go experience and see and whatnot, and we just haven't made it yet.
Yeah.
So.
And then Ryan down here says, the last great deal I booked was Boston to Helsinki on Iceland Air. $50 in airfare, $300 in taxes.
Nice.
The taxes make sense, actually. I mean, you can't escape those, and but the the $350 total. I mean, that's
pretty good.
An awesome deal.
Well, it's funny because like you saw this, so like she flies a lot of standby type stuff where she's only paying for like the taxes really for her seat, and like the most expensive is going from the U.S. like to the UK.
Yeah. That's
like the most expensive ticket. It's like hundreds of dollars worth of
Which is funny because I would say that like the UK is not necessarily the most... Is he going to make it?
Yeah, he's good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Is he...
Nope, he's good.
Okay.
He made it. Eliz thought the light was going to go down.
Why don't I go make sure he knows where he's going?
You're going to take him downstairs to
Yeah, I'll go take him downstairs. Okay. You looking for Megan?
He doesn't quite do stairs. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but he's a...
he's coming down?
He's back. I don't know.
He just is probably like, I've never been in this room before.
I don't know that he's ever been up here. I think this is his first time on this floor. Yeah. So he's been in the basement. He's been...
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Oh, he's peeing. Oh, God. Oh, God. All right, guys. Well, on live streams, you can't control what happens, and he just pissed all over the floor, so that's fun. Well, to his credit, Papa Gino did try to I guess leave here and go somewhere else. So that's at least Eliz wasn't holding him when it happened. Sorry, that's funny. So fun. Yeah, Lori Sims, puppy pee. Yeah, he's not a puppy. He's just old. And I don't know the last time he went out. So, because that's not my thing. Travel best destinations. Says, I want to book from LAX to Amsterdam, spend 4 to 5 days in the Netherlands, drive from the Netherlands to Belgium, spend 4 to 5 days in Belgium, and fly back to LA from Brussels in either October or November. Wow, that's a lot to say. Okay, so LA to Amsterdam, good. 4 to 5 days in the Netherlands. So 4 to 5 days in the Netherlands, I would say Amsterdam should probably be 2 full days, maybe 2 to 3 days. And then I would probably go to either an Utrecht or a Rotterdam. We were looking at a lot of this stuff and try to experience some other part of the Dutch culture. And then if you're heading down to Belgium, I would go to Bruges. Is beautiful. I'd spend 2 days in Bruges. It's just a picturesque. It's on the canals and everything, so that's a phenomenal way to I love you, babe. She's cleaning it up like a champ. It's a great way to experience Belgium, and Belgium is great because they've got the Flemish fries and everything, which is all delicious. I would highly recommend checking out some French fries while we're there, dipping in mayonnaise, all that good stuff, and then Brussels, though, everything I've heard is Brussels is a place where there's a tiny bit on here. I don't know what to do with this, but you got a little bit here. But I was able to save most of it. So Brussels is a place where I feel like you can probably do it in a day, so I wouldn't spend too much time in Brussels. But Bruges, I'd spend more time in Bruges. It's a lot of fun. All right, Nick Barnett's, welcome, bud. Good to see you. Very, very glad to have you even late. It's all good. Because, like Wendy's, you can eat great even late. Which we found out yesterday on a nice little trivia thing that we were part of. The NYC Trivia League. So if anybody wants to join and like start a team, you can go to NYC Trivia League and you can do like, it's every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which is Sunday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday? Holy crap. That's a lot. Okay, you can do a lot of trivia. And it was very hard. It was very, I mean, we did it the other day and it was, we did not get in the top 10. Let's just say that. What else? Yeah, Mo is saying Mother Nature called. It sure did. That's funny. Nick Barnett's, okay, I guess you guys aren't doing so well then, since it sounds like your dog peed on your floor. LOL. Yes. No, we're doing great. There's a dog to pee on the floor, so it's good. We're all good here, guys.
Alright, I'm coming back.
He's just hanging out now. I don't know. Eric Brown, haha, he's peeing.
Oh, is it that delayed?
UK air passenger duty is very high. Yeah, so Thomas Reiser is talking about the UK air passenger duty being high, and that is definitely true. When Eliz goes there, she typically pays very small amounts of money on like the standby stuff, but every time she goes to the UK, it's like hundreds of dollars on that, which is pretty funny. Vega Bonnie, India, so sad to have missed that trip. On the bright side, have a huge Air Canada credit now, by the way. So Bonnie was going to be in India, and that is a trip that I really want to do. One of my best friends is from India, and it's always been one of those trips that I've been like, dude, you and me, we're going to go do India together, like we're going to have a great time, and we've never made it work. And we've talked about it a few times that he kind of like jokingly invited us to a wedding in Goa, which we really wanted to go to actually, but didn't make it to. So we're hoping to make that trip.
Sorry
sometime.
for my like active nature right now. There's some behind the scenes action happening too. Yeah.
So Scorpio Sue is saying, what countries could you go back to
Rishi's
over
here.
and over? Rishi! He's here. That's my buddy. That's who I want to go visit India with, man. I wanted to go Goa. I want to go Goa. It's so much fun. So welcome, Rishi. Glad that you made it back to Cincy safely. So Scorpio Sue, though, is asking, what countries would you go back to over and over again? And I would say France, Italy, Spain.
Megan's
Definitely.
in here nodding her head. She went to France with me last fall.
Yeah.
we're
Megan's like, don't talk about me. She's... Oh, PG's back.
We love you, Megan. Oh, we love you, PG. Oh, okay, now he's probably... Okay, I don't like that he's going that way. I feel like he's going to get stuck.
He'll be fine.
I'm so sorry for this, everybody. We won't bring him back on the live stream. He's not used to being on camera.
It's like, I'm camera shy, guys.
He needs all the attention, apparently.
He's adorable. So what country would we go back to? So I would look at it as UNESCO World Heritage Sites, right? Like, things that are worth...
Bye, Mark Finley.
He's like, guys,
Thank you so much for joining.
He's like, guys, I weigh less now. You can pick me back up again.
Oh, God, stop.
So the places I would go to is if you look at like highest density of UNESCO World Heritage Sites, it's like the UK, it's like it's France, it's Spain and Italy. Those are some of like the most densely packed UNESCO heritage sites, and there's just so much history, culture to see. So, I mean, I would go back to all of those like over and over and over again. But at the same time, like Mexico, I mean, I've only been to Mexico like one time. I feel like that's the type of place though that it's like such a diverse country that like and so large and whatnot in Mexico that you could go to that place over and over again because there's so many different places to see, whether it's the Baja California, the Yucatan Peninsula, like more of the Mexico City type area, more along the border with like Mexico or Arizona. There's just so much to see and do that I feel like you go back and back and back and back. Argentina we've been to, but even though we saw a number of places throughout Argentina, there's still massive parts of it that we haven't seen that we'd love to go back to. On top of that, we've never been to Brazil, but Brazil is a massive country. Like, if you look at it, like, the largest countries by landmass, like, Brazil is one of the largest, and you can, there's Rio de Janeiro, there's Sao Paulo, there's the Iguazu Falls, there's so much to Brazil that, it's one of those places I feel like you could go and spend months in and not see it all. So I know that Mark Walters, I don't think he's on anymore, but, Mark spent a lot of time in Brazil and talks about his Brazilian family there and everything, and he'd probably agree that it would take many times going back to feel like you've really experienced all of that Brazil has to offer. So there's what that is to say is that there's a lot of places that we would go back to, and we would probably go back to many times. I feel like we didn't experience it all yet. So
agree. Also, while I was gone, it seemed like a lot of
Mark
new
Finley,
people
bye.
joined. So I just want to say, I hope Derek said hi to you guys. But hello to Nick D and Nick Barnett's. And
I said hi.
Okay, good. I already said hi to Rishi, I think. And then hello, Travel Best Destinations, welcome. So sorry that I was missing for a hot second.
Because there was some hot pee on the floor.
Stop! We don't have to talk about it anymore.
I do love, though, that Darian
So, by
is
the way,
saying...
this dog does not do that inside. That was, like, very uncharacteristic, so...
To be fair, he didn't have, like, a front door to go, like, hang
Yeah.
out in front of, like, being like,
we're
guys.
like, all the way upstairs, and
Yeah.
he's never been in this room, so I think he was, like...
It's also getting late. Like, this is about the time it usually goes out,
Yeah.
so that's the other
Anyway.
thing that we didn't think about.
Yeah.
But Darian, I do like, this was a real live stream.
Yeah.
That's
Good
funny.
one.
He's got the jokes. So Megan Morris is saying, to travel best destinations, yes, the trains are great, but I've found sometimes the buses are actually cheaper and quicker in Europe. Flixbus is a good bus company to check out. Yeah, and what's funny is, like, the buses in Europe as well as in South America can be really, like, nice. Like, we were looking at...
We did a bus in Chile, and then several in, like, Wales and stuff.
Yeah, but the Chile bus wasn't like that wasn't like a big bus. That was like a local bus. So like there's like long distance, like long route buses that have similar to they have like lie flat seats. It's almost like a business class ticket on a flight and stuff. So they have like lie flat seats, meal services, stuff like that, like on buses, which is pretty cool. And I was looking at those from like Bariloche to Mendoza, but then like to do that, it's like an 18-hour bus ride versus like just a couple hours on a flight. So when we were looking at it, we're like, well, from our time to money like perspective, like we care more about time. We don't want to lose like most of a day just in transit. So at the end of the day, that's what we did, as we took a flight. But buses, if budget is your more like primary objective, then buses can be a great deal in Latin America.
Totally. Also, I feel like Bonnie was saying... Hold on, I've lost it. Somebody said VAT.
Oh, VAT be damned.
Yeah.
I saw that somewhere.
I saw that somewhere too, but I lost it. Oh, yeah. No, Lori Sims says VAT tax be damned, and it was while I was gone. Yeah, so you can theoretically get the VAT tax, like... refunded when you go to the airport, but you have to like be really organized about it and go to the airport pretty far in advance. And we've only tried that for, I think it was for the wine. We've only tried that once. I can't remember for what thing. But if any of you guys have had like a really good success at getting the VAT tax refunded, please let us know.
We did that maybe in like Paris. You have to be like organized about that stuff. Keep your receipts, ask for them, and specifically ask for like the VAT taxes. And some places that like their policy is that they'll only give you a VAT tax receipt over a certain purchase amount. So you just need to understand that going in advance. So like if you're gonna go to a vineyard, like understand what their policy is in advance. So like when you buy something, like they might not give it to you with one bottle of wine. You might need to buy like 3 bottles of wine. So it's just one of those things that, like, understand going into it. And there's some companies that make it a little bit easier to try to get those refunds that you can kind of like go through, where they take a portion of the refund. kind of as their fee. And so that might be something just from an ease of use perspective that you might want to do. So just something to look at and research.
Yeah.
So Nick Barnett's is saying Peru.
Yeah, we've heard such good things about
Peru. Lots of cool historic cultural sites to see. Only South American country I've been to so far, but was not disappointed. Yeah, Peru's... Is that you?
No.
That was me?
That was you.
Whoops. So Peru is high on our list. So my cousin-in-law, my cousin's new wife is from Peru.
Yeah.
And her family's from there. And she has, like, a really cool family. Like, we hung out at the wedding. It was a good time. And would love to go out there. And, like, they've done, like, Machu Picchu and, like, a lot of those cool sites. So I don't even know what that was set for.
It just said alarm.
Weird. Yeah, so, like, a lot of stuff out there. We're at 8:50 p.m. That's, like, a weird time.
Anyway, it's okay.
So, yeah, no, so, like, I would totally, like, do Peru, and I feel like Peru has a lot. A good buddy of mine in college was from Peru and stuff, and yeah, that's a good place that I'd love to go to.
Yeah, we would definitely want to go. We watched one of Walter's World's, like, collab live streams with another travel couple that they all talked about Peru, and it made us want to go so badly.
And we talked about the Inca Trail, and Jocelyn told us that we specifically, the two of us, should just hike it.
I don't know about that.
And I'm like, yeah, we're going to do it.
I don't think so.
We're hiking.
I would rather take the train.
She wants to take the train, but we're young. We can still do it. It's okay. Bonnie is saying that she agrees. France, Spain, Germany, Portugal, over and over and over again.
Totally.
Yeah, Germany would be on my list, too, of places like...
And I go back to the UK over and over again. I love it there.
I mean, how many times have you been to France? Since college, like...
A lot. 5. But that's also because Charles de Gaulle is so easy to get to with Delta.
Yeah, I mean... What I find to be sad is that I haven't been to Spain since college. Well, that's not true, actually. I'm sorry. I went to Spain last year for work.
Yeah, you went,
so
you
I was in Madrid. I was in Madrid for a couple days. But, like, I haven't, like, been to Spain for an extended period of time, like, on vacation or anything since college. And that's one of the things that I feel like I really need to get to because I loved it so much. It's a place that I would just love to explore more of. I actually never really made it north of Madrid. I've only experienced south of Madrid, and not a lot of time in Madrid. I probably spent cumulative, I think I spent like 5 days in Madrid now. And cool city, awesome stuff to do, see, great food, but you know, there's a lot to see and explore that I'd love to do. So.
Yeah, and Derek's photos from Madrid last year were so pretty. I was so jealous that I didn't get to go with him.
It was hot. It was really hot while we were there.
Yeah, but just the architecture there just looked so lovely.
Yeah, Megan Morris is telling Nick that she would be in Peru right now if it was not for the pandemic.
Aww.
And has been to Ecuador in South America and loved it.
Yeah, I've heard great things about Ecuador, too.
Ecuador is supposed to be really cool. Nick D, rim shot for Derek, please. I don't know what that means.
I think it was around the time we were talking about the dog still.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
all I know is I
really
said most of the...
I think we're really delayed, by the way. I think
Okay.
there's a lot of, like, time. Yeah.
Nick Barnett is saying, ouch, that sucks to Megan Morris. And he was due to travel to Scandinavia just after the travel ban started. Thanks, COVID. Yeah, so we've told you guys this, like, over, the last few months in live streams and whatnot, but we were in Amsterdam when all this stuff started, and when Trump came in and, like, gave the announcement that he was kind of closing down borders, and we had to, like, kind of cut that trip short, so we flew back on the Friday that he kind of made it so, if you were traveling back in internationally after that time, you'd have to, like, reroute into specific cities to get back in the U.S., and it was a big hassle and, kind of a bit of a to-do. And, unfortunately that meant that we had to cut our trip short, probably about in half. We cut our trip in half, which luckily we were traveling on, like, standby type seating and stuff like that, so it's not like we had spent a massive amount of money on tickets to get out there, which was kind of the silver lining. And one of the reasons why we did the trip was that we knew that it wasn't going to be an expensive trip to get there. So if it did get cut short, it's not a big economic bite for us, and that we had kind of routes to get back if we needed to. But it's really brutal when you have like this planned travel that like gets kind of taken away from you. It's that whole idea that where expectations meet reality is where happiness is. So like where expectations and reality are the same, you're happy.
Yeah.
But if your expectations are up here and reality becomes down here because of whatever, then there's this unhappiness, and like your happiness equation is out of skew or whatever. And I mean, I know that hit a lot of people. Like our plans for the summer were to spend quite a bit of time in like New York City and Los Angeles, San Francisco. We're planning quite a bit of trips actually over the summer that really got wrecked.
This past weekend we were supposed to be in Massachusetts for a wedding. But Nick Barnett was saying that I just lost it. Yeah, I was due to fly out from the U.S. just 2 days after the U.S. president announced the travel bans, but me and the two others that I was supposed to travel with were already looking to change plans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Nick also says, I know that Greece is reducing VAT taxes for certain things to help with tourism this year. I'm sure other places are heavily reliant on tourism, maybe doing something similar. That's cool. I haven't heard of that, but that sounds neat.
That would be really great.
And Lori Sims says, I took a bus in Mexico with goats and chickens.
That would be an experience.
That would be an experience, yeah. And that would be, I don't think she'd like it.
I don't know, it depends, like, are they, like, fun goats and chickens?
Do they play euchre? I don't know. Apples to apples.
Are they nice?
Bonnie is saying in the Baltics, Vilnius, Lithuania, was a surprise to me because it seems to be overshadowed by Riga or Tallinn. Loved Lithuania. Would go back there too. Yeah, we've never been to the Baltics. But it's again, everywhere's on our list. Like, there's very few places that you're like, would you go there? And I'd be like, nah.
Yeah.
Like, there's a couple. There's a couple places. I think I probably draw the line where Mark Walters does around, like, North Korea. Probably not.
So, to answer your question, Bonnie, about what we're drinking, I'm basically just finishing up a Virtue cider from Michigan. And I'm about to drink the rest of the wine, which is... Do you want to bring that over?
I'm going to finish it. I'm going
What
to
are
have
you
an
guys
entire
drinking
bottle
tonight?
of wine tonight. No, this is Bogle. It's a Sauvignon Blanc. I opened it today because I was cooking a garlic and herb roasted chicken, and it called for a quarter cup of wine. And I don't know if you know this, but the trick to good cooking is you pour a quarter cup for the chicken, and then a quarter cup for the cook. And that's the key to good cooking. So I did that, and I've done this to the bottle so far. So she has yet to partake. And
You want to pour me my empty glass over there?
I guess. She's stealing my wine, guys. But yeah, Sauvignon Blanc.
I've been
which
kind
is
of nursing this.
This is a dry white, which is pretty good from a carb standpoint. Eric Brown, I know that you and I talk occasionally about the whole keto thing. Sauvignon Blancs are pretty good actually from a net carb perspective.
We've been eating...
I'm probably running a little high from just the wine, but my intake from the day from a keto from a carb perspective has been super low because I've been eating basically for like dinner I had like roasted chicken and some like cauliflower rice that I made, which is like massively low. Like the only carbs are from the cauliflower rice, and then from throughout the day I don't think I've had any other carbs today, so it's been an all wine day for me.
Yeah, Derek's been really good about keto so far ever since he started going at it. We've been eating like keto-friendly dinners too, which is really fun to all be able to eat together. Anywho, so, okay. Yeah, London, Paris, Prague I could do every week. Yeah, me too, Eric Brown.
Yeah.
Totally. And then Nick D asked Lori, was the driver a chicken or a goat? Hopefully not. That would be really funny to see. And then Nick Barnett says, I've never been to the Baltics, was one of the regions I was supposed to travel to this summer. We really want to go to Riga and Tallinn. Would love to make it there sometime next year, maybe the year after. Megan says, my summer plans are looking domestic. Family has a beach condo in Vero Beach, Florida. Ooh, that's nice. Which I am planning to hit up in July. Even with all the humidity, I just want to go somewhere. And I totally understand that feeling. In Florida, you never know. The beach itself is going to be enjoyable probably no matter what. Yeah, my hair gets pretty frizzy in the humidity too, regardless of time of year there. It's just such a different level. Even in New York City, like just being by an ocean, sometimes that can be something to deal with. But yeah, I think we're definitely looking at domestic too. We have talked about it a lot already, but we've been playing around with different road trip ideas and just waiting to hear a little bit more about what Illinois is going to look like and see kind of what happens coming out of all these protests with the virus and go from there. Our friend Megan, though, we were mentioning this on Gallivanting Gals' live stream. So Megan, like we said, moved in on Saturday from New York City. She drove, 14 hours straight from New York, from Manhattan to Chicago. And she kind of described the actual road trip experience to us. So in New York and Chicago, there's just like people wearing masks all the time and stuff like that. And she said once she got into like Pennsylvania and Ohio, there's a lot fewer people like in the gas stations and stuff like that wearing masks, which to her, like having been in her apartment for months straight, was very different and noticeable to her. But I think it's something that if you do road trips this year, regardless of where you're going, just make sure like to bring masks with you into those kind of communal areas, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a rest stop, anything like that, gas station. Bring your hand sanitizer, your wipes, maybe even like make sure that you have some sort of like additional face protection like sunglasses or goggles for your eyes.
So I will say, Megan Morris, so if you're gonna go to Vero Beach, Florida, it's like an hour, 15 minutes away from where you guys will be, but the Loggerhead Marine Life Center is not that far away. It's about an hour 15, and it's a really cool like turtle sanctuary, basically for like sea turtles.
It's so sweet.
And it's a really cool spot. So if you're looking for like some of that kind of like more marine life type stuff, I know that's a really cool spot to go hit up. There might be places closer to you, but that's a place that we've been to when we've been traveling to like West Palm.
It's nice to go to on like a cloudier, rainier day too, because even though it's outdoor, there's a lot of coverings and stuff. So a day that might be too inclement to go to the beach could be a good option. Learn about the local wildlife.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Thomas Reiser says hit Helsinki while in the Baltics. We would love to do that too. God, yes. Absolutely.
I think I don't know. I'm about to just like book a flight to Iceland. Like,
well, Iceland's not in the Baltics.
Yeah, close enough.
No, it's not.
But like, you just pay $200 and they'll let you go.
Okay.
Take your temperature or something. That's where I want to go.
Derek just wants to go somewhere, clearly.
I just want to go somewhere. I feel like I haven't traveled, which is funny because like we traveled the most recently that you could have possibly traveled in Chicago, basically, like because we came back from Europe like the day that like quarantine hit.
Right. We came back on March 13th.
I'm like itching. I really want to go somewhere.
Yeah.
It's getting me.
It's getting to all of us, I'm sure. That's why we're all sitting here talking about it.
Yeah.
Thanks for talking about it with us, everybody. We need you.
So wait, so Nick Barnett, is he saying that he's had Bogle before in upstate New York? Or what's he saying he's had before?
I don't know.
Nick Barnett. I've never been there, just saw it in the supermarket here in upstate New York and thought it looked good, and it is.
Are we talking about Bogle? Or where? I don't see where you're looking, to be honest.
Nick Barnett.
Oh, I wasn't looking that high up.
Oh, wait. So wait. Nick said earlier, I'm drinking a vanilla porter from Breckenridge Brewery in Colorado, and that's what he's talking about. So Colorado has some like really good breweries. It was funny. I was up there on business, and I went to the. I was staying in Fort Collins, Colorado, north of Denver, and when I checked into the, I think it was like a Hilton or something. Maybe it was a Hyatt. I don't remember, but checked into the hotel, and they had like a gift basket waiting for me. And it was the most. I think I sent you a picture of this because it was like the most comical gift basket I've ever gotten. Where me solo on like a business trip, check into a hotel, and there's legitimately like a 6-pack of beer, basically from like local Fort Collins breweries.
And you were just there like one night. I think.
I was there for one night, like on business. I was like, this beer looks really good. I'm not gonna drink all of it. Holy crap! Like I can't do that in a night and still like make it to my conference.
Probably most people who go there though don't check in for one night. I would imagine.
I mean, and if there were 2 people there and it was like 3 beers apiece, fine. But like for me, I was like, I gotta drink 6 beers. That's a lot of beers. So yeah, that was a fun time. Post COVID, challenge accepted. Before COVID, my tolerance was much lower. Yeah. I feel like I'm more of a college Derek at this point.
We'll see. Yeah, you did kind of basically just drink an entire bottle of wine.
Which is actually better than I could do back in college. So there we go. Eric Brown says, haha, fun and nice, goats and chickens. Which is always fun. So Ryan Donahue was saying, Tallinn was nice, just a quick ferry ride from Helsinki. Yeah, and that's really the cool thing about like visiting those, like that part of the Baltics, is that you can like take the ferries and stuff. And one of the places I really want to make it to is in Russia, and I really want to go to St. Petersburg, which is kind of like there in the Baltics as well. And you have that neoclassical architecture. Really want to make it out to that. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. I lost where we're at.
Nick Barnett is saying, I was planning to travel by ground from Thessaloniki, Greece, which is one of my bases, all the way to Finland. So the Baltics obviously would have been included. Sad that fell through. Yeah, Thessaloniki would be really cool.
Trip, Megan. That's awesome.
Nick.
No, she was talking to Nick.
Okay, sorry, you didn't read that. So Megan Morris is saying that she flew into Thessaloniki last year, went to Nea Madonia. Have you been? Small beach town. Stayed at the Ecos Resort. Loved, but not the best authentic Greek experience. Could be cool.
And she said she's going to take us up on our recommendation for the Turtle Sanctuary, and that'll be
Loggerhead
really neat.
is pretty cool. We actually, hiding around our house somewhere, we've got like loggerhead, turtle, like stuffed animals and stuff.
From there.
Yeah, it was a good time. What do we got? Lori Sims, love it, and Eric. Keep in mind, I was pregnant with my first child, barfing into a small cooler.
Oh,
ooh, rough.
That is a rough bus ride.
That's a rough bus ride. Thomas Reiser is saying that he wanted to go to Tallinn, but there wasn't enough time. Yeah. And Bonnie is saying, Sauvignon Blanc for me tonight, too. Peter Zealand's New Zealand for me, though. Yeah, so ours is a California Sauvignon Blanc from Bogle. And we find that it's like one of the better, like just cheap Sauvignon Blancs that we get. And like to have just like a number of those on hand to throw in the fridge if we're doing like an outdoor cookout or something like that and people want something cool.
It's one of our house whites.
Yeah. That plus all the Kirkland whites basically from Costco, which we're big fans of.
Mohammed's saying a country he's dying to go to is Luxembourg. It's so underrated. I do Belgium and Luxembourg in one trip. And that's funny you say that because when I went to Belgium last July with my friends, I ended up looking into if I could get to Luxembourg instead of Paris, when like the whole backstory of me having 3 days kind of stuck in Paris. But it was actually kind of challenging to get from Brussels to Luxembourg on the train. I think it was like a 3-hour train ride, even though they're so close together geographically. So it's funny when you are in Europe and you see those cities that like look like they should be a really quick jaunt away, and it ends up being a little bit harder to do.
Yeah.
So hopefully maybe like either, you'll budget in the 3 hours or there's maybe a really quick flight or something to do as well. But Luxembourg does go direct from Paris, or like there's a train direct from Paris to Luxembourg too.
Yeah. Nick Barnett is saying you'll get a more authentic Greek experience if you go to the peninsula that Tironi is in, more rustic than the Macedonia region. So we've actually never been to Greece.
We gotta go.
Greece would be, I mean, it's one of those places that we've always said, like, we're going to make it to. Yeah. We'll make it there eventually. We'll get there.
We should have listed it on our bucket list destinations live stream.
But there's so much to do and see in Greece that it's like, I don't know.
It's finally basically.
It's one of those trips that I feel like I would be a little bit like, oh my god, where do you even start? Like, obviously you start in like Athens or something like that because that's where you're gonna fly into and out of, most likely. Unless you do like a boat tour through the Mediterranean there and hit up like the Aegean Sea and like fly out of Istanbul or something like that. But
yeah, we'll definitely
which would be
let you
pretty
guys
cool.
know if we go. Like Barnett's.
We would totally go, and that would be awesome. Like that's a massive
Very
place
high
I
on
want
the
to get to.
list.
Like the Acropolis, like all that stuff. I would love to experience. So.
And even like there's parts in northern Greece that I feel are a little
Thessaloniki.
bit less. Yeah. We'll just refer back to the live chat on this stream and make our itinerary.
Well, that and Jocelyn. We'll just be like, Jocelyn, where should we go to? Sparta. Obviously the case. Okay, so Nick Barnett, been going there my whole life and even lived full on for a few years, but there's still so much to see. Will take a lifetime. Oh, that's really cool. Didn't know, Nick, that you lived so long in Greece. That's really cool.
That is really cool.
So Mo, okay, you already said the Mo thing about Luxembourg. Eric Brown was supposed to go to Iceland last year, but me and my friend I was going with couldn't get our times to sync up. Yeah, so Iceland's a place that, like, even like now I think you can go to as long as you go and you pass your COVID test.
Yeah, I think so.
So that's a place where I'm like, if other things don't open, like, maybe we're gonna go to Iceland. Like,
yeah.
Because I'll pay the $200 or whatever. I'll do that.
I haven't caught up. So, what's it like to get back into the U.S. right now? You might still have that mandatory
2 weeks, but yeah,
week.
I mean, we're living at home anyway.
We're here.
It doesn't matter to me.
That's the life we live anyway.
That's what we do anyways. It's fine. Ryan Donahue, good night, bud. Yeah, it's like 10:12 out there, bud.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you for joining from Boston.
Hopefully see you this weekend on Walter's World and also next Thursday too.
We really appreciate you spending your time with us. Lori Sims, trained from Vienna to Prague. I saw a train station abandoned that looked like it was a depot from the 1940s war era, and it kind of freaked me out.
That is a little scary.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody's seen...
somewhere you might see a ghost.
A goat? Yeah, well, we saw...
A goat or a ghost?
Did you say a ghost? Or
I said a ghost.
Oh, you said a goat. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not?
One
Maybe
of the two.
Goat.
Definitely bound to be
When
there.
we were in Wales, we definitely saw a sheep on the train station.
Yes.
On the train platform. That was kind of fun.
That was so cute, actually. They were like waiting for the train.
That's what
Not
it looked.
really.
They weren't, but it looked like it. No, what I would say is that if you want an interesting take on that whole like the Soviet to like modern transition, there was an interesting movie that Nicolas Cage was in called oh god, I can't remember what it's called, but it was basically where he's a gun runner, and he was a major gun runner from like the Soviet Union to like the West or something like that during the fall of the Soviet Union, because like he had like some like family connections through Eastern Europe or something, and that was an interesting movie. I thought it was actually pretty good. One of those Nicolas Cage movies that you're like, nah, that was a legitimately good movie. It's not just kind of funny; it's good actually.
One of them.
Highly recommend it. So Nick is saying, yes, northern Greece is very underrated. I've hardly ever seen any American tourists there.
I've heard that as well. I actually watched a Hotel Impossible episode where Anthony Malchieri goes to, I think it's a place in Delphi, but I could be misremembering. But it was...
Delphi's in the south.
Yeah, no, it's another one. I'm going to look it up. But it looked beautiful, and they did say that usually it's a place where a lot of Greek tourists go, but not international ones, especially Americans.
Yeah, so Megan is saying that we were the only Americans in the resort when we went to northern Greece. Kind of refreshing. Most people were from Germany and the UK. That's fun.
Wherever he was, I remember it was by Mount Olympus in that episode.
Yeah, so Nick Barnett is replying to that
so.
and saying the UK, that's kind of surprising since most British tourists are pretty rare in the Halkidiki region. German, Central Europeans, and lately the Balkans, especially Serbia, is where most tourists are from in that region. That's cool. And Nick is saying, yeah, Delphi's in the south.
Yeah, it wasn't Delphi. It was
yes,
something around Mount
Mo!
Olympus.
Lord of War. That is the movie I'm thinking of. That is a great movie. And if you're looking at a more modern take on that, War Dogs is surprisingly good, actually. So check out War Dogs as well. Fun movie. Kind of crazy and eye-opening because that one's actually based on a true story, which is nuts.
Derek clearly has seen everything. I've never seen nearly the amount of movies or TV shows that he has.
I like pop culture.
You do.
Okay, so Megan Morris is saying, yeah, UK was prevalent there. When I went, also a bit of Arabic and Russians in the northern part of Greece. Cool. And Megan Morris is saying that, and you could see Mount Olympus from the resort. So for me, if you look at Greece, for me, I want to do island hopping through the Aegean. That would be really cool. I'd love to go to Cyprus. I'd love to check out all of that in the south, but I'd also love to hit Turkey. So the Anatolian.
We're gonna be there for a month. Because there's so many places in Turkey that I want to go to. That's not just a stop for me.
I mean, Turkey. You've got Istanbul. You've got Ankara. You've got Cappadocia.
Yeah. I want to do the whole Turkish coast. Yeah, the blue.
And that whole region, of Asia Minor, was home of two of the wonders of the world. There's a bunch of Greek ruins and whatnot because there's a bunch of Greek colonies off of that coast. The west coast of the main body of Turkey, and I'd love to go hang out. That'd be so cool. That's just
Derek's gonna just.
Guys, I'm gone.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta go.
Gotta go.
Rishi says, so many great options for road trips through America's national parks. We'll be planning one soon with all of the surplus miles on the lease. Totally. We're right there with you, and we have a national parks pass that we purchased in January. First time ever. So because we haven't been able to get to... So basically, the National Parks Pass costs $80. And if you go to bigger national parks and stuff, you have to go to about 3 in order to make up for the total. We ended up going to Zion National Park, which is where we got it. And I went to Red Rock Canyon National... It's not a park, but it's a national place that you still can get in with the National Parks Pass. And so we just have to go to one more.
And we've paid our money.
And we would mention this on our last live stream a couple weeks ago, but there's no fee to get into Indiana Dunes National Park that we found. So we were like, oh man, we're gonna at least get to our 3 when we went a couple weeks ago, and still gotta hit up something else, I think.
Yeah. And Lori Sims is saying if you ask for a refund on your pass or you have it extended to next year.
We probably will get to at least one more, though. I feel like I want to give them, the money that they maybe need right now.
So Megan Morris is saying, you all know I missed out on Turkish Riviera in March and April. Still having FOMO.
Yeah.
That's sad.
I think a lot of the national parks, by the way, are opening up in mid-June. A lot of the Midwestern ones, at least.
And Nick D is saying, you have Istanbul, but Constantinople, it's been a long time gone since Constantinople. Yeah. So I think I might have said, if I messed that up, I apologize, but I think I said Cappadocia. Constantinople, yes, they're the same place. There's that whole song
yeah,
Istanbul,
there's a song.
Constantinople.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fun, but Yeah, no, Constantinople was the name of the... So it was Byzantium, and then it became Constantinople under the Romans, and then the Byzantine Empire, and then it became Istanbul when the Ottoman Turks took it over from the Byzantine Empire and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it has a very long history and very cool stuff.
This. Is there a quiz?
There's no quiz.
Okay.
You're okay.
I'm not gonna remember it all.
It's up here. It's okay.
Yeah.
I love history, so it's fine. So Mo is saying, a friend of mine planned a trip to Turkey, but Thomas Cook collapsed. They planned another trip, and Rona happened. Jeez. That's rough. That's really
sucks.
rough. Yeah, I mean, Turkey, I mean, we had friends that went there on their honeymoon. Oh, no, they didn't go there on their honeymoon,
but for fun.
Trip,
yeah.
And they loved it.
A whole week, 10-day trip or something.
Yeah, they loved it. Like, we'd love to go back.
They did the hot air balloons in Cappadocia. Yeah. It looked so cool.
Yeah. So, Vegabani is saying, surprising trip driving through Bosnia and Herzegovina. I always screw that one up.
You actually, I think, said it right.
Herzegovina? I don't know, Herzegovia. Stopped at a roadside market and had the most amazing bootleg walnut brandy. So good.
Bootleg? Question mark? That's awesome.
It was a Dixie cup. We don't know.
Bosnia was featured on, I think it was Rick Steves, one of his episodes, one of the more recent seasons, and it looked really neat. And I love that it seems like they're just trying to grow from the wars that they had in the 90s and become more of a tourist destination coming out of all of that conflict.
Yeah, so real quick though, going back to Rishi's comment about like the national parks and everything, I would say that the national parks are something that's like, something that we really want to do more of, especially if we do some road trip type travel. It's something that as she creates like road trip destinations and stuff around the country, and I look at them, then I like kind of overlay the national parks over that map, and I kind of look at, all right, what's the easy path to take? And so she'll do one that's maybe 20 hours of driving or something like that, and then like I'll be like, all right, here's my tweaks based on like the national parks that we should hit along the route, and it becomes like, say like 25 hours, now it's like 45 hours. She's like, you just added 20 hours to our trip. I'm like, but come on.
But it's worth it.
But it's worth it. But like, why not?
We definitely added more than that, by the way. By adding that, it's just like the time in the car.
Yeah, it's the time in the car.
You added like a week to the trip.
But I'm like, come on, if we're going to be out there, we should go to the Olympia National Park and Glacier and like all this other stuff. So I'm like, adding all these things.
We're just going to like jump in their RV and be like, we're with you now.
So that's one of the things that like I do a lot of. I'm like, all right, like let's add this on. It's like, oh, that's like 5 hours. Who cares? Like 5 hours is fine. And it's like, but you do that enough.
Day.
If you do that enough times, that's a lot of days of travel. But I'm willing. Hey, I'm game. I'm game. You game? Guess who's driving? I'm probably driving. So it's probably.
That's true. I'm definitely in the navigator in the relationship. Yeah.
She's much better at playlists than I am.
That too. Playlist person and navigator.
So Lori,
I would say that I'm also just better at directing you when driving.
Yeah, sure.
Derek will be like, oh, you were supposed to take that exit. And I'm like, Derek.
Oh, no. Yeah, one of those. Lori Sims is saying, I'd love to ride a camel and do a desert tour. That'd be really cool. I've never done a desert tour or a camel ride. You've probably done one in Tucson, I assume.
Yeah. Well, didn't you in Morocco?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, I thought you... Oh, yeah. So I've ridden camels in Tucson, but that's it. But we go to the Travel and Adventure Show in Chicago every year.
And there's always
it's literally
camels.
in a convention center, indoors, no windows, and they bring camels in for people to ride.
That's pretty funny.
And I'm like, these do not belong here. Like, this is the last place a camel should be. But they're there every year.
But it's fun. It's fun every year. Lori Sims is also saying that she did Bosnia and Herzegovina tour from Dubrovnik, Croatia. Unique experience to check with checkpoints. Yeah, no, that's a part of the country like Serbia and like all that kind of stuff that I want to make it to, and I think would be really important to see, because like if you look back in the early 90s when that conflict was taking place, there's a lot of like big violence that took place. Like that was a very crazy time, and there's some really interesting like novels and books that have been written since that time, kind of surrounded. And it's like we were alive for that, and that's it's not that long ago, so it's something to like think about. And you wouldn't think that would be happening back in the 90s. So.
Yeah. Derek had a guy cut his hair in New York named Dragon, and he was from Bosnia.
Yes, his name was Dragon, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And he was a good barber.
He was.
And Megan Morris is in it. She did the Camel Desert Tour in Morocco, and it was so much fun.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, we never made out to the desert. We were more in the north part. We did like Tangier and Chefchaouen and like
I would love to go to
maybe
Chefchaouen.
Tetuan. We did like that kind of region, and that was a lot of fun. Chefchaouen, if you've ever seen the pictures from Morocco that are like the blue doors with like all the white painted like buildings and stuff, that's usually Chefchaouen in the north of Morocco, and that's like it's gorgeous. It kind of looks like Greece in that regard, so it's kind of cool.
By the way, welcome back, Mark.
Mark, how you doing? My computer is back up and running. I am scared I would kill the camel, so I stay from riding. Also, fun fact, every time I've ridden a horse, the horse has tried to kill me. I'm so sorry.
He's back with a bang.
Back with a vengeance. I'm sorry, Mark.
Wow, what are you doing to the horses?
So the last time we did horseback riding on our honeymoon in Mendoza. So we did a sunset horseback riding thing where we went like up into like the hills or whatever for sunset. It was beautiful. It was a great time. Super hot. Like I was in a man tank. Not flattering. And we did it's not
Mark,
flattering at all.
Okay, no, sorry. I was nodding because Mark says he thinks they sense his fear, and actually that is a very real thing. I'm not like a horseback rider, but I've for some reason have ridden a lot of horses in my life, just by nature of like being in Tucson. I went to a few summer camps growing up that involved horseback riding for certain weeks. But yeah, they will sense fear. They kind of like, they're very intuitive, and you should probably like always introduce yourself kind of to the horse first. And there was this one girl on our horseback ride.
Yeah. You should go back.
It was in the Andes. We were in Mendoza,
No,
yeah.
Not the Andes, but yeah. Well, I guess that was.
Yeah, it was the Andes. In Mendoza, and she just like kind of got paralyzed with fear. Maybe 15 minutes into the trail ride. And she was just like, I cannot, like, I need to get off this horse right now.
I forgot about that, actually.
And so they had one of the guides, like, basically help her off and, like, walk her and the horse back.
Yeah.
Because it's a very real thing that if you just are scared, they could rear up and stuff like that. But other than that, like, I've always been completely safe on a horse. Derek's been safe on horses. And, yeah, it's a lot like any other animal in that way. Like, animals sense your emotions.
So Mark is saying he was bucked off at the Lake of the Ozarks, bucked off and really messed up in Spain, bit walking in the street, just walking by one in Vienna.
What?
Also walked me to
I'm
a
sorry,
field.
I shouldn't laugh because that's so traumatic and I would be afraid of horses.
No, the last one. Walked me into a field where a guy shot at us with shotguns. What field were you walking in, Mark? Holy crap. Who's shooting at you with shotguns because you walked in their field? It's nuts.
Those are stories.
Okay, you should not ride horses.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yikes. I'm
so
sorry.
sorry to hear that. That's a bad experience. However, if that's not your experience, then I would say that horseback riding is really nice.
You can, yeah.
During like sunset, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And you can get like the whole like so when we did it was like part of this whole experience where you go up, you do the sunset, you get like a little photo op type thing, and then you come back down, and then they set up like this whole like Argentinian like cookout type experience where like they do like all the meats and the sausages and the steaks, and that's a lot of fun. I think at the one we went to, the power went out.
Oh yeah,
And we had to,
the power went out in the middle of our estancia meal,
Yeah, the
and they
estancia,
lit
right.
candles and had us turn on all of our cell phone flashlights. We just kind of ate by light in that way. It was intimate.
Yeah, it was nice. But Mark is saying shotguns was on the outskirts of Buenos Aires. Surprising.
That's
Sucks.
so scary.
And he says, I was not
And
afraid
so
of the
unsafe.
horses any of the times. I was not afraid any of the times, but now I just know they're coming for me.
Yeah, all the times just added up or something.
Well, no, what he's saying is that, like, it was never a thing where, like, he was, like, scared
Yeah.
of like, there's no, like, fear, but, like, for whatever reason, that's weird.
Wow.
And Bonnie is saying, it's true you have to whisper when you talk to a horse. Oh, is it true? I have no idea. Horse whisperers.
I don't think so. I feel like you definitely don't want to make any like loud sudden noises. So they kind of say if you like bring kids to horseback riding things, it's like don't all of a sudden like scream, it's like don't be like I'm having such a great time, because that can spook them. So yeah, they're very gentle giants in so many ways. It's just you kind of have to use a little bit of caution too, because they can hurt you. Like if you get thrown off a horse, you can get really, really injured.
Yeah.
Like very critically injured. So
That's why it's always safe to like wear the proper like safety
always
gear,
wear
like the helmets and stuff like that.
always wear long pants when you're horseback riding. Doesn't
Very
matter if it's
chafed.
100 degrees outside,
Yeah,
because they will like rub you into the bush along the trails and stuff like that. And especially in the Southwest, the cacti. So you want to be very, very careful about that. Never ever wear shorts.
Well, yeah, that, and it can also chafe,
That too. Yeah, but
which is not.
it's
comfortable.
mostly to protect you from getting like scraped up.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's fun though, and if you're not Mark, and I think it can be a fun experience, even if you haven't had much experience with like riding a horse and whatnot. It's fun. And I really enjoyed our time on the honeymoon doing that trip and stuff. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I don't know. Is there more that we want to talk about?
Let us know. I mean, we can talk about more horseback riding adventures or anything else you guys want to chat about. But we've had a really good time just hanging out, and honestly, this is like therapeutic for us. We've had a week, and so it's been nice to kind of get back to a good routine and talk to all of you guys. It's been 7 days since we really said hi to everybody.
So Nick Barnett is saying, if I were on a horse, I'd be terrified something would spook it while I'm on it, and it would go out of control. Yeah, I mean that's obviously that's a risk when you go horseback riding. Understanding though, like how to. Like,
I wish Rachel was still on, because
on
she's done a lot of horseback riding in the national parks and could totally chime in on this. But
I mean,
think she's
one of
off.
the interesting things about when you're on a horse ride is like the horse's like instinct is always to like eat. So one of the things that like we always had to be mindful of, like when you're in Argentina, was that you don't let them eat the grass. You had to like pull them up. You had to physically keep them from just like eating the weeds and the
Yeah.
grass, and they want to, like, that is like their like
That's like a
primary
snack
thing,
for
like
them.
they want to just like, oh, they all eat, it's like if you went by like an all you can eat pizza buffet, you'd be like, I could have a slice,
Yeah.
like that's kind of what they are, and they were like, yeah, I'll have some, but you have to keep them from doing that.
Tell me
And
more about these all-you-can-eat pizza buffets.
they're on cruises.
Oh, I
keep
haven't
telling you,
done
gotta go on
any
a
of those.
cruise. Keep telling you gotta go on a cruise, and you say
Man.
no. And that's why, because I would eat all the pizza. So you go, and because they want to eat, but like the issue is that like there can be things like snakes and stuff like that could then cause issues, or they could like eat something they shouldn't, and so you have to be like very cognizant of that, because that can also like lead to spooks and things like that.
Oh, another thing that they warned us about in Argentina was like the horses are friends with each other, and they like kind of have their own cliques. So
Yeah.
they will only want to hang out with their friends. So there may be like 10 of them in a trail ride, and like these 3 are friends with each other and these 4 are friends with each other, sort of thing. And so they all just want to stick together, and they kind of organize them based on how close they are with like with each other. It's so funny. They have such personalities.
Yeah, Mo was saying I went horseback riding last year just outside Belfast. I think it was like 20 or 40 quid an hour.
Yeah, you can find actually Groupon deals at a lot of different stables and stuff.
So Megan Morris has some interesting stuff. She's saying, my parents have a hobby horse farm.
Cool.
Way more money than reward.
Oh, yeah.
However, my cousins have a thoroughbred farm. High dollars and high reward. Hey, Megan Morris, can we come ride horses with you?
Yeah, can we come visit those? That sounds so fun.
That sounds awesome.
But I mean, I understand from a monetary perspective why a hobby horse farm would be more money. But if you guys all enjoy horseback riding, then like Rachel's mom, for example, I think she's not on, like I was saying, but her mom has a horse at a stable in Indianapolis, and like literally goes and rides that horse multiple times a week. Yeah. So it can be just a rewarding experience for certain people.
There's a lot of therapies around it and stuff too, which is nice. So Megan Morris, Walter's World. So Mark is saying, yes, the horses will want to be where they want to be. I was doing well with my horse in Spain, so they wanted me to hold up the rear to make sure everyone kept going. Then my horse took off and bucked me. The owner said, yeah, your horse likes to be first. Sorry that I didn't mention that.
Oh.
That's so messed up.
That is.
That's messed up. That's just a bad owner.
Yeah, that's just a bad leader. I hope you gave them a negative review online
that's unfortunate.
or whatever.
Send us a DM on where that was so we don't go there.
But also, are there any Walter's World videos that include you horseback riding? Because I've missed them, if so, and I would like to see them.
I think Katie Smith is taking off. She says, thank you for a wonderful chat.
I think she said it right when we were kind of like asking if people had more questions or wanted to talk about stuff too.
I don't know. But Katie, if you're gone, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, good night.
And Mark is saying, they also put my friend on a bucking bronco. When I got bucked, she got off her horse and we walked back.
Oh my god.
Dear Lord.
Okay,
this place in Spain we're not going to.
So, I mean, I'm not going to make any assumptions. It sounds like you have just really bad luck with horses. But one rule of thumb that I will say, just if you're going horseback riding in the U.S., is like read the reviews. Trust your gut with the people who are like the trail leaders or whatever. If you don't feel comfortable with them, then the horses might not feel comfortable with them or with you. It's kind of like that person needs to really know how to talk to both human and the horses in order to like just make the whole thing work. Especially like when we were in Tucson at the resort hotel resort that we got married at, they have a horseback riding stable there on property, and they do like an hour-long trail ride for an extra fee. And there was this one I guess cowgirl. I don't even know what the proper terminology is, but the person who leads the trail rides, who we just didn't have a good feeling about her, and then all of a sudden the cloud, like before we got on the horses, the clouds started rolling in, and you could tell that it was like raining in the mountains, and she was like, "Oh no, it's fine." But as being from Tucson, like, and my family lives there, we know that there can be flash floods if it's raining in the mountains, that into the washes, which is where she was going to take us with the horses. And so we just said, we're actually not going to do this. And whether that was going to end up fine or not, like, we just didn't want to put ourselves in that position, because it just didn't feel like she was familiar with the way the rainwater drained
she was,
in the area.
I mean, she was kind of new to the area. She'd come up from like Texas or something.
I think
like
she
that.
came from Colorado. Like 2 months prior.
But I mean, there's a lot of things to it. Like there was some like negativity, like from an attitude perspective, and it's like horses pick up on that stuff, and like so we were nervous about that. And then we saw like the raining in the mountains, and it was one of those things where like, well, I mean, it's not worth the risk to
Yeah.
take. So we decided to not do it.
And we've had plenty of phenomenal horseback riding experiences in Tucson, like at Tinka Verde Ranch, at Pantano Canyon. So actually, I think we also had a good one at Hacienda del Sol too, and I think at Pantano Canyon. So there's so many great choices and great professional people.
Yep.
But use your best judgment, regardless of where you are in the world.
Yeah, so Mark is saying it was a pre-online review days. We got dropped off at this ranch, and we thought we signed up for a hiking tour.
Ooh.
Nope, it was a horseback riding tour. Gotta love those package deals. That's funny.
Man.
And Megan Morris is saying, you can totally come to my parents' hobby horse farm for free with open arms. No way you're going to ride a thoroughbred, though, in Lexington. They're just high-dollar assets.
Yeah.
Clearly.
We're not asking
I
to.
Would never...
I'd feel weird about it anyway. I'd be like, oh, God, I don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
We know those things are expensive.
I'll look at it.
Yeah.
That's about it. But yeah, no, that's cool. Bonnie, thank you very much for coming. Yeah. We really appreciate it.
It was so fun talking to you, Bonnie. Always good to have the Canadian perspective, too.
Yes, very much so. What else? Do we have anything else to talk about?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we could probably wrap up. We've been talking to you guys for a while. You guys...
2 hours and 40 minutes.
You already saw the dog. Then he left.
You saw the dog, he peed, he left.
There's a lot of excitement on the live stream tonight compared to usual, I think.
It's been a night.
It's been a night. It's been a week.
It's been a week.
But it's been super fun just to chat with everybody and catch up. It's funny because I feel like over quarantine, we've been talking to you guys so frequently that all of a sudden, with ours being canceled on Sunday and then Walter's Well being postponed yesterday, we haven't talked to everybody in 7 days. We've missed you guys.
Yes. Yeah, it's like, oh my God, our social group is gone.
Yeah, we just had to talk to each other about travel now.
I'm not gonna lie though. So Chicago just opened up on Wednesday, so that's why I got the haircut, which is why I'm looking so fresh.
Yep.
So clean. But we were walking the other night, and we walked by Lottie's, which is like a neighborhood bar restaurant type place, and people were sitting outside, eating food.
Yeah, you could
drinking
smell
drinks,
the burgers.
smell like burgers and nachos and whatnot. And they were all sitting outside, and we're like, "Oh my God, eating food not at your house?
There's people.
That's amazing! Oh my God!"
Other.
And we got so sad that we weren't there eating with them and having a good time. So I think it is a real thing. It's so many people have been starved for so long from that.
Yeah, we also had a
connection.
not mandatory, but encouraged. What is it called? Neighborhood loiter on all of our front stoops in our neighborhood, just for protection of the neighborhood over the past couple nights. So the people that kind of run the neighborhood Facebook group were saying hey, sit on your steps, let's have a positive neighborhood loiter, let's talk to each other, let's deter any additional crime. And it's worked, so everything, you guys aren't even hearing sirens tonight, which is fantastic. But we started talking to all of our neighbors all of a sudden. We're like, how have you guys been doing?
Yeah, we've been making a little bit of a point to stop by the neighbors and stuff as we come back. And actually our neighbors are telling us about the idea that they want to do a neighborhood block party, basically, where they block off the streets at either end of our block, and they want to have bands come out and raise money for some charity. Not sure which one.
Probably just relief for the businesses in the neighborhood.
Probably, yeah. And they said that they've done this in the
looted.
past, and the last time they did this, they had 4 different bands playing along the streets and stuff like that, and they usually have a stage on either end and stuff, and we're like, heck yeah, we'd go to that.
Yeah,
that
why would we not go to that?
We have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
We'll go to that party.
Yeah, I think I was my calendar's pretty open, so just let us know when it is.
So hopefully that happens, because that'd be a good time, and I think we'd have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
So
We'll see.
We'll say that.
But yeah, thanks everybody for joining tonight.
And Megan says, thanks for the dog shots. Love your new companion. Yeah.
Yes.
He's a cutie.
He, like I said, he does not misbehave. So that was, you guys all got to laugh with us on that one. But he's super cute and just super chill.
Yeah, so Nick is saying that they're starting to open up in upstate New York.
Great.
And he still needs to get his long overdue haircut. So I think actually my person like took it little. So usually, I do like a side part here, and I think she took it just a little bit too short actually.
It'll grow out.
I asked her to leave a little bit longer on top, so I'm a little.
I think you look great.
But
you look so like, I don't know.
So Eliz didn't tell you guys this, but I came back from my haircut and I hadn't shaved in a few days, so I had a beard going. And so what I did was I came back and I started shaving my beard. Then I shaved up here, down here. I left the goatee going, and Eliz told me that I wasn't allowed on the live chat today if I didn't shave my goatee. So
he shaved
I'm sorry. I meant to come out with a goatee.
He shaved his goatee at like 6:55, and our chat started at 7.
Yeah. So I just. She told me no. She said, "You're not coming. You're not gonna be on the show." So I had to shave it. So I'm sorry, guys.
It didn't look great. It kind of makes him look 10 years older than he is.
I thought I looked quite distinguished.
You look distinguished now. You look beautiful.
Okay.
But also, I just wanted to add, so Comcast was actually out here for us on Tuesday afternoon, all afternoon. So I don't know what they're up to. But yeah, it sounds like downstate by Thomas and the Walters. It was out down there. On Wednesday.
We lost internet for a bit.
We lost it for hours.
Yeah, for a bit. So Nick Marness, I used to have really long hair. Almost tempted to let it just go back out again. Nice. Megan Morris is saying, do you know when the next Patreon chat will be? And Walters is saying, Patreon chat will be this coming Wednesday at 8 p.m. So Whiskey Wednesday.
Whoop,
nice. Just a stud. That's our Derek. Thanks, Mike. And Nick Barnett is saying that he grew it out for like 2 years recently. Wow, that's a long time to let their hair grow out, Nick. It's awesome.
So, Mark Walters, I think you're saying your next live stream, the public one, I think it's on Saturday morning. Yeah. And then the Patreon one, we all get to join on Wednesday.
That'll be awesome. That'll be really good.
Now we get to talk to all of you guys so much.
Yeah. And Mark is saying we could have had an evil Derek.
Yeah, he did kind of look like Devious with the goatee. Like he was up to no good.
I was up to all the good. Okay.
You have a picture of it, right? You took a selfie?
Not this one.
Oh. Okay.
So Thomas Reiser, I call my barber the Scalpatorium because I get my hair cut. Nice.
Awesome.
That's really good. So Saturday's public, Patreon is Wednesday. Cool. Nice. So thank you everybody for joining us. We really appreciate it. We hope that you have a great rest of your day. What is today? Wednesday?
Thursday.
Today's Thursday. Have a great Friday tomorrow, guys.
Hope everybody's weeks are getting, better. I know that it's been a lot on everybody's minds, and we're all in this together. I really appreciate everybody tuning in tonight just to have a conversation about how we can learn more about persons of color in the U.S., people of color in the U.S. and abroad. And it was super fun to talk about Europe too, so thank you guys for asking those questions because it's been a while and I'm missing it.
Yeah, and hopefully like the things that we brought up resonated with you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that little bit of like places to go and see and visit around, whether it's Latino, African American, Native American, or Asian American communities. I know I enjoyed kind of looking all that stuff up and kind of researching it a bit because it's something that we feel very strongly about kind of going into in more detail in our travels through America, and it's just something that we haven't really done a lot of, and we really want to make sure that we're doing that and like educating and trying to
And Lori's
Be
got
better
it right.
citizens.
A diverse culture is a healthy culture.
Yes.
I love that. So thank you to Lori. Thank you, Mark Walters, Megan Morris, Nick Barnett, Thomas Reiser,
Mo.
Anyone else who's still on that I missed, thank you for sticking with us for this long. It was super fun to just catch up. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. And we will see you all
I agree.
very soon. Probably Saturday.
All right.
Cheers.
Peace out.